Oh my god. Num 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 num. Hello? Hi everyone. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Lee Draw? What's up, Mika? What's up, Evan? What's up, Ooga Booga? What's up, Olives? What's up, Chaotic? What's up, Sailor? What's up, Mish? What's up, Doggo? What's up, Mr. Woo Woo? What's up, Cute? Hi everyone. Hi. It's not. Yeah, we're playing HOPLITE again. If you guys don't know yet. Hi everyone. Hello. W Lee Draw. WWW. All right, so we get right into it. Oh, let me change that real quick. I also have like I'm not gonna lie, I have like a little headache. So like, yeah. That's why I was like so late to stream today. Yo, Plish, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. But yeah, hopefully it gets better. Hopefully it gets better within stream, you know? Like while I'm just streaming. All right. Let's get to the games. Let's get into the games. Get into the games. How's everyone's day, by the way? How's everyone's Thanksgiving? I haven't spoken to you guys since Thanksgiving, so see if I actually let me unnick real quick, just so I can, you know. I hear people talking in my ear. Okay, wait, I can't slash hub. What's happening? Want me to join the slash hub? We actually didn't know that you were playing HOPLITE. Okay, like nice, bro. I can't join. I can't do slash hub. What's happening? I need to relog or something. Is the lobby down? Is the proxy down? I want to slash on Nick. The Vortex. Why Vortex star? I think the server's a little laggy. There you go. And then just a solo game. Cool. Now we win. Now we win. Food coma? No, it's not a food coma. I don't know what it is. Well, to be fair, on Friday, yes, it definitely was a food coma because, dude, my stomach was hurting bad, and then today I just woke up with a crazy headache. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad, but I mean, I'm fine now. Hopefully I'm good now. What's up, Ellie? Hello, Ellie. My mouse is also on 14%, so hopefully my mouse does not die mid-game. What's up, old Sparkle? What's up? Hello. Qndres is Bob Lusigally Dream. What is that? Wait, what? Hi, Plish. How are you, Plish? Oh my god, a Tommy Innit sub. W. Hi, Plish. Hello. How are you, Plish? Even worse, the mouse dies mid-fight. Imagine creating someone out and my mouse just dies. That would be embarrassing. That would be very embarrassing. We'll see how this game goes, though. We'll see. Bye, Evan. Adios. Oh, I forgot to add the Discord. Let me add everyone on Discord. Live. Now. Come. I'm back. Oh my god. Okay, I just definitely forgot to... It's fine. We'll just go down here. Go. Let's do that. Yo, why do people think that Babu sounds like Dream? I don't see it. Maybe back then, yeah, but now it's like, no, I don't hear it. Also, I gotta get like so many more wins now because one day that I miss, everyone gets like 10 more wins. So, what's up, Rem? How are you, Rem? How are you, Rem? How are you? What's up, Domix? Hello. What's up, Orbot? Hello. See, I'm telling you that everyone on Discord works. I'm telling you guys that actually works out. Some people don't see the Twitch thing, so adding everyone on Discord actually works. Babu's better though. Hey yo. I think for like when he first started off YouTube, he sounded a lot more like Dream, but now it's like I think you can actually distinguish between Dream and Bobbler, right? Like I can tell about like a Bobbler voice versus a Dream voice. Maybe because I also saw Bobbler in real life, so I know what like Bobbler looks like. I know like how he talks, but I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully we can get some lava ravine here, so I can just go nether real quick. All right. Well, we found a little bit of like somewhat of a lava ravine. This is a great cave too. So hopefully you can go in. Damn. So Pliss, I have a question. How did you find my stream? Are you a how did you find my stream? Did you just follow me today? Were you like watching HOPLITE or something? I'm curious. Some okay, so it's Bastion, but I don't know where it's at. Bruh. Where's the Bastion at? What? Hopefully it's over here. How many subs we got? Chat, how many subs are we at? I forgot. Bastion right there, I think. No, that's the Bastion right there. How many subs are we at? 282. Damn. Bet. It's like hidden. This Bastion is low-key hidden. Oh, you know what? It's a freaking. It's one of these. It's one of these. Holy shit. That's a lodestone. Dude, there's something in my eye. Bro, why are you still blowing me? Bro, I literally giving it stuff. Okay, well. Wait, no, he's still mad. Oh, there you go.
Well, dude. Hey.
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm gonna die.
No, don't die.
I'm good, I think. Hey.
Hello. Uh-oh. Wait, what are you on?
Oh, I'm on 20. It's all good.
Wait, I need to get up. I need to get up.
Yep.
Go, 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 go. Where are you going? Where are you going? Bro, who's crying in the background, bro?
Oh, my sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on, you're pretty low. You're on 9.
Yup.
You know what would be crazy? I know where the secret chest is. Have you seen the secret chest? Don't jump.
I haven't. I'm not gonna jump.
Follow me.
Okay.
Have you seen these chests already?
I haven't. Oh.
Are they looted?
Yeah, I'll do it.
You sure they're looted?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Uh-oh. This guy's... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Don't panic, bro. Don't panic. Hey, what the fuck? What'd they do to you?
Stuff in here.
Oh my god. Holy moly. I'm just gonna get out of here. Good luck, guys.
Good luck.
Ow.
Okay. Nice, we're all gonna get out of the same place. Anyways, hi chat. I would drip zone so badly. Yeah, but I have no drip zone though. Dude, I'm telling you, my eyes are like barely open, bro. Holy shit. I'm like barely waking up. I woke up at 9. It's already 9:21, so I woke up 20 minutes ago. Holy. Oh, Shira, what do you think about investing? Yes, save your money and yes, invest in something. Uh-huh. Totally agree. But make sure you do research on it first. Coffee? I have not got my coffee today. I'm broke. I have no money. I mean, I have money, but I'm saving up. Do you eat? No. Nope. I just came straight on stream because I love you guys. Smiley face. Am I a good streamer? Fuck, my eye is just killing me. What's up, Chris? What's good, bro? What's up? What's up? What's up? I need leather. I need leather fast. I mean, I have the axe, but I mean, that's not really good. How old are you? 24. 24, 24, 24, 24, 24, 24. I'm old. I'm old. I'm old. I drink. Actually got you. Actually got a water before stream too. You're definitely my favorite streamer. Am I actually? What other streamers do you watch? What's up, Flip? What's up, bro? Booga booga. Wait, what? Is this like carrots? I was so confused why there's always like these random things on the floor. That's carrots. Holy shit. I have leather. Why am I looking for leather? Alright. I've ran some big shrimp. Okay, nice. What's up, Flipson? Hello. Red grapes. Red grapes with no seeds. I hate seed grapes. They're annoying. I think everyone can agree with me, right? Can everyone agree with me that any grape with seeds in them are actually disgusting? Ugh. Imagine eating grapes with seeds in them. Actually, well, green are also really good though. Fuck. You know what? I don't know. I don't know what to choose. Both are amazing. True. How about we stop being greedy? How about we stop being greedy and just say one color? All of them. They're both 100%. Damn. Creeper. Imagine if you died, I'd be very sad. Joker! Hi, Joker. Hey, Joker. That's not fucking. Grapes. I love grapes. How's the HOPLITE? My first game on today, actually. I played one game yesterday, 2 games yesterday. I took a little break yesterday because my head was killing me yesterday. And I also had a stomach ache, so I just wanted a little break. Chat, I might miss diamonds, by the way, so make sure you tell me if I find diamonds. No, literally, I've only been playing Minecraft and Valorant. Or I haven't been playing Valorant. I've been just not playing. I've played Valorant at all this act. So yeah, just Minecraft recently. I have been playing a little bit of Overwatch. Overwatch is pretty fun. Doop, 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 doop. Well, I have the axe now. Please. Oh my. Oh my. Been moving for some time. All right, we'll do this. Do I just make the... what do I make? Hi, Layla. Hello. Thanks for lurking, Ellie. Appreciate you. I should not have taken a day off yesterday, but I needed it. You know, dude, my head was killing me. I had a stomach ache, bro. I wasn't on my PC until like at night. That's how like bad it was. Like I just did not want to get on my PC at all. It's okay. We gotta stop that daily streams again. The morning streams. 'Cause I was doing so good every morning stream, you know? I was doing amazing. I was like, damn, like this is actually so good. And then like, I told myself that I wasn't gonna take any more breaks. 5 ads? Sorry about the ads. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to... I don't know. Is you in Overwatch? Depends. I can go like Kuruko for heals. Or I can do like Reaper for DPS. I can do... What else can I do? I can do like a lot of things actually. If we're chilling and we have like a good DPS and he's like doing lots of damage, I can just go Hanzo and like just go for like the headshots. So it really just all depends how my team's doing. I'm a team player. Okay. I just need low-key want like 2 more diamonds. Because I can make the axe right now, but do I just use the axe and go to 0-0 or what? Like, I think that's the move, no? Use the axe for kills? Because the thought was getting a sharp 1 diamond and then just rushing with that and the axe and then hopefully just dropping people. But I mean, I'm not seeming to find any more diamonds, so I might just go up. Yeah, I'm gonna go up. Okay, let's try to get like a good kill win here. We'll kill for enchants, I guess. Can't be that hard, right? I think I make a diamond sword and the axe. Magma cream, right? I don't have magma cream, bro. I forgot to get magma cream, man. I can't make the axe anyways. Dude, I forgot you had to... Oh. I forgot you needed magma cream for the axe. It's cool. So I can just do this real quick. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let's see what damage we can do. What's that, Destroyer? How are you, bro? Did I go back to that bastion that I found earlier? Crossbow? Yeah, crossbow and... No, it wasn't the Basalt Delta. It was this way. I just need a magma cream so I can make the axe. Then I can go to 0-0 portal, so we're chilling. Found it. You think we find? You think we can get any? I wonder if everyone took it all already. I just want one magma cream. I don't know how I forget to get one magma cream. We'll see if we can find it still. All right, man. Pretty good, bro. We'll go with the headache today. I've been waking up with like, well. Okay, cool. I can make it. I woke up with like a stomachache yesterday night, so I couldn't stream. So now, and I woke up today with a headache. So, like, I was like, yeah, I can't take 2 days off of the stream that I'm literally like doing amazing right now when streaming, and I don't want to keep taking breaks. Yo, Hunter, thanks for the follow, bro. Appreciate it. That's like the last thing I want. Just take breaks on my streams. I can literally see that it affects my, like, you know what I mean? It affects me a lot. That's fine though. So I just gotta pop off again. Hopefully. It sucks, like, when I'm doing so good and I just take 1 day off and my head hurts. It's like, boom. Oh, that's annoying. Whatever, though. It's fine. Show. The grind's the grind, but your health is more important. I mean, true. There's someone bowing from this distance. What's up, Hunter? All right, well. Yo. Is this real chat? Is this real chat? Yo, why am I getting bowed? Is it because I have the axe? Okay. I kind of want this flame bow. I gotta hit his shots. I don't want to fight this guy because he's gonna flame. Yeah, he's gonna flame me, then go for me. Bro, you are annoying. Good shots, bro. Dude, holy shit, this is 8. That did 8 damage right there. Direct hit. Yo, Echo, thanks for follow. I appreciate it. Leave my axe now. Perfect. 21. Oh, this guy got the oh shit. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna keep going for that guy. $24. Wait, bro ran off after he got that kill. Why does everyone have flame? Explain. No, why does everyone have flame? Bro. I want to go clean the guy with the flame over here somewhere. Wait, why are you bro? I'm not even. Oh, he was. I see. I'll say this much. Yeah. Good job. Like that guy's literally more stacked than I am. You just want the axe, like. There's that guy right there. Holy fuck, that thing scared me. Tell me if you still. This is not looking good for me. I got 0 kills. Where'd that gabble eating come from? What? What? Am I tripping? Someone definitely had a golden apple next to me. So I got 2. Fuck. I'm in the cave, right? There you go. Do some damage to this guy. This guy's gonna bow me. Okay. Get another apple. Nice. Remember to cut down wood. Maybe it's a spoiler. That's what I thought. Later. Keep eating your apps. Keep eating your golden apples. And chasing me while you're doing it too. Yeah. What's HOPLITE? It's a Hypixel UHC. Did he just pearl on me? And totally just miss all his crits? I think that's what Blood just did. How did he end up right in front of me? You think he did? I think so. Still got a G head I can eat on him. I'm just gonna keep running him and just using my thing. So he's just getting drained if anything. Yeah, it's pretty much just UHC with custom crafts. I still have a G head too. He has gaps still. Thanks for lurk. Appreciate it, Lynn Rose. Did he finally find out that it wasn't worth chasing me? Oh, hope you're still chasing me. Okay, he's coming after me. He's coming after me fast too. Alright. The time he gets to bow, we just get more distance to run. There you go, direct damage. Okay, now he goes down, and then we just keep bow swinging from the top. But little does he know that this axe... Oh, damn it. He's on 23, but he's just hiding now. There we go. We'll do some damage elsewhere. Then we just hit him up here. Okay, well, he found out. Was he on 18, 20? I'm guessing he's still down there. Okay. We're gonna wait for another axe throw, and we're gonna do it right now. Hold on. You can make another gap. What I can do actually is if he's still down here. Yeah, I see him. Just do a little of this. See, I told you I need a G head. The pearl. I need that pearl. Chat, how do I do this? How do I kill this guy? Oh, fuck. Oh my god, he came from on top. He came up from on top. Wait, what? He mined up. I was like, what? I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I literally, oh, that was a horrible game for myself, bro. That was so bad. It's fine, whatever. I drained him like literally everything. He has one gap now. GG. First game on. Dude, I have a fucking headache, man. I said we play Minecraft, but you know, why not? Qndres, can I have a screeny? No, I have an ego. I didn't realize he was above me. I did not realize. Minecraft's better than headache. Yeah, literally, I gotta keep grinding. I gotta keep grinding. Fuck no, I'm good. I'm chilling. Inferno. Dude, Eric, what am I trying out your damn arena PvP, bruh? Scrib? I swear I haven't seen Scrib in like 30 years. Loyalty 3? Is that meta now? Noob. Ice Crib. Yeah, it's been a long time. Holy, what's up, Berserk? Thanks for the lurk, bro. Appreciate it. How are you, bro? How are you, Berserk? Loosen your headphones. I think I might switch to AirPods for just listening. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. What have you been up to, Scrib? What mob did you vote for? Fuck, what mob did I vote for? I voted for the... Oh, I voted for that one, you know? That one with the what did I vote for? Hold on. I voted for the... Wait, bro. You're at school? Gotcha. Crap. I'm a crap voter. No, penguin. I'm a penguin voter. My bad. I'm a penguin voter. That's what it was. A lot of school, I see. So you have like not been having time to like watch streams. You've been chilling. Schoolwork. Yeah, that's crazy though. It's been a long time, Scrib. I'll have you know that Swine's still here. Swine's still active on Twitch. W Swine. Bruh. Lava, please. Dude, what in the spawn? You're not got the time? Gotcha. Wait, you're nursing school? You're crazy. Holy shit. Good stuff. Keep it up. I just have a headache. I have a horrible headache. Might just like a little 3-hour stream today and then just call it there. Appreciate you guys all watching, by the way, chat. Appreciate you guys. I have a TNT. I could just find... I hate going into like Nether and then like knowing that I have a great cave. Oh, okay. We're a little late to Nether, but it's cool. It is... So is Bastion again. Someone at the corner. Someone's already here. Someone probably already got it. Oh, Sandwich Lord's on my game. MCCI person. Season 2? What about Season 2? What's happening Season 2? What's happening Season 2? When's Season 2, bruh? Wait, when's resetting Season 2? Please tell me they are. Okay. Dude, what is happening? Okay, dude. You're making my headaches 10 times worse. What the fuck is happening in Season 2? Are you gonna fucking tell me, or am I gonna have to like just find out? I just actually to this Bastion. It's another bridge and it's taken 100%. That's taken. That's taken. Is lodestone taken? Again? Lodestone is not taken. H of debris. Another H of debris. Hello. Look what I got. Uh-oh. Okay, bro just broke my trades with this guy. You got gold. Yeah, I can get scythe now. W. Holy shit. Was worth it. Was worth going late. See fire charge and magna cream. I need one magna cream. I'm not forgetting this time. If you wouldn't get it, if you don't get it, just say that. Bro, what? Dude, Eric, what the fuck are you talking about? Eric, you're giving me a fucking headache. What do you mean? I would have a headache, but you're giving me more of a headache. What do you mean? What do you mean? Where's this chest at? It's like hidden, no? Alright, cool. Holy shit. Give me one flint, please. One fire charge. Perfect. Thank you. Bye. I also need obby, but I can just kill someone for the obby. Then let's go to 0-0 portal, I guess. This way. Did you know? Did I know what? What did I know? I don't know anything. I'm dumb. What did I not? What did I know? It's Laftus. Oh my god, it's Laftus. Okay. What's Scythe recipe again? It's one fire charge, one netherite scrap, and 2 obby and diamond sword. How do I know that? Holy shit, I'm crazy. Do I have a... So I technically need 2, 5. I need 7 diamonds total. That's okay. We got this. Oh, Scythe? My bad. Scythe is 2 crying obby, 1 amethyst, and 2 heads. E. But I'm killing for enchants now, so I gotta just get diamonds. I'm basically full iron as well. I swear there's always a cave down here. Just wait. Go for amethyst and iron? Yeah. That's the plan. And 2 diamonds. Someone just P-boxed the head up there. That's gonna be too late. Whatever. I'll have katana guaranteed now. That's chill. Oh, it's on season. Bro. Dude. Are you gonna fucking tell me what's happening in season 2 or not? What is happening on season 2? Oh my god, sand sheet? No way. Sunshit. No way. No way you're all saying season 2 is out. No, season 2 is not out. Eric is giving me more of a headache and telling me that season 2. Am I ready for season 2? Bro, what the fuck is happening season 2? Explain. Dude. No, season 2 is not out. I got 1 leak. Speed. That's all I was told. Just speed. They told me speed for the next update or for the next patch, whatever it's called, the next season, whatever that means. A pickaxe? Okay. Okay. Wait, that's actually a fire. Okay. Oh shit. Okay. I fuck with that. A pickaxe. Wait, are we gonna see some stuff vaulted, Eric, or what? Will we see some stuff being vaulted? Oh, diamonds. Oh, I got my katana. I think stuff definitely no vaultings yet. Okay, we're just adding more. Okay. What weapons are you going for? I'm going for a katana right now, and also me yoiner. I can't say it. Yoiner. Hi Abby. Hello. How are you, Abby? How is you? How is you? I can craft the katana. No, I can't. I need 2 obbies still. Dude, look at my inventory. It's so clogged up. Let's see. All right, let's see if we can find lava fast. Oh. There's not lava down here. There's nothing down here. There's literally absolutely nothing down here. I'm gonna cry. Mjolnir. Oh. Well, that's even way better to pronounce it. Mjolnir. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Like, I just know how to pronounce Mjolnir now. Look at me. I'm a fan of Marvel. I can't even pronounce the damn axe, bro. Mjolnir. Crazy. If I got a fire aspect from this chest here, I'll give away $1,000. Yes. Have you guys watched the Marvels yet? Or is it called the Marvels? Or yeah, I think the Marvels, right? I haven't watched it. I want to go watch it. Mjolnir hammer, yes. Chat, you guys don't want to know what I've been addicted to recently? Sky vaults. What is it called? Not sky vaults. No, it is vaults. It's that one mod pack. You know what I'm talking about? But I wanted to play that. Not on stream though. Maybe on stream, maybe on my second channel, but I don't know, I mean. Vault Hunters, yes, the one. Yes. It looks so fun, dude. I love the Vault Hunters. All right, I have a katana. I need more diamond for the Mjolnir, and then yeah. What kind of skyblock? No, it's not skyblock. It's not. I mean, it is skyblock, but it's like modded. You know? I don't know. Shit, I only have like 1 gap. I have to drop someone ASAP. I can probably kill someone and get 1 down from them, right? There's only 2 rows of players left. Holy shit, okay. You think I get targeted here? I feel like I do. I got so much shit in my inventory. I have a loyalty 3 as well. In case I want to somehow make a... Okay. There'll be some fighting here soon. I won't clean up Sandwich Lord. I'll let you know because I think they're streaming probably. So if I just see them, I won't clean them. something shot is on 30. I think he sees me. I have 7 diamonds. I can make enchants now. I still need obby still. I'm gonna make it a little 3 or whatever. Okay, so I can make my other lights now too. I can make my wonder now. Bam. Okay, so I have 4 diamonds. Chat, should I just make diamond boots? I kind of want to gamble the other head. I'm not gonna lie. Amethyst on the ground? Really? Oh, shit, you're right. Oh, fuck, you're right. I can make amethyst. Wait, I can make so much shit. Oh my god. I need arrows. Amethyst on the ground. Okay. Wait, you know all this leather actually. Give me some of this wood. Cool. And then we'll just do this. Yeah. Okay. So what, chat? Should I just make a fuck, I can low-key make Artemis, can't I? I can actually make it, I think. I actually think I have everything for it. I just need sand. Yeah, I can make Artemis. Need the feathers though. Poor okay. They just want me to make Artemis. Boom, boom. Alright. I'll make it. No, I gotta just save 2 diamonds for Artemis. Okay. Like 4 legendaries about to go crazy. Okay. I literally have 1, 2 ultimates right now. I'm gonna get Artemis right now, and then I'm gonna get Reaper if I get 1 more kill. Holy shit, chat. But I'm full iron. My drop. Give me sand. I need sand right now. Make a TNT. True. Just make this TNT real quick. 1. Is it 4 or is it 5? I think it's 4. Okay. And 2 diamonds. Artemis bow. Cool. And then I have boom, boom. Damn, I am okay. All right, that's chill. That's chill. I have 3 ultimates this game. This guy, whoever fights me, oh, like look at this guy here. He's full diamond. What? He's full diamond enchanted. Screeny, I can't give you a screeny, man. I can't give you a screeny. Full line, I forget. Holy shit. Oh, this thing's annoying. No key. He did a G hit on me. What? No. I just keep draining him blocks, low key. Dude, I can't hit shots. I need the skill. Wait, Leia, I can just like throw behind him? Dude, he has infinite healing. Double damn. Holy shit. He had another gap on me? I'm sorry that I gotta play annoying. I don't know, hit. Was that wasn't that a range shot? Fuck. Okay, now he's running on 25, 18. He still has more healing. he's taking down. Oh my god. What? You think he's out of healing? Should I go down on him or not, chat? Like, this is my only... He's digging all the way down. What? Knew it. Bro, I'm fucking placing locks and it's annoying me. Okay, well. Okay, well, now I gotta go up 0-0. Just drained. Hi, Vio, hello. Are you winning? Not really. I mean, this guy just... I drained this guy a lot. He just stuck down. Yeah, it's still healing, by the way. That's the guy at the nether. It's whatever, though. It's chill. I have a headache. That makes it 10 times worse. Like, I'm full iron. I have no obby. I got no whip from those fights. 15 players remaining. Oof, it's not looking good. What's up, Yusef? Also, if Mjolnir hits on one way back, it still procs, I know. I think it procs like more damage, if anything, too. Pretty sure. I bet you this guy's gonna be at 0-0 in a bit. Like, just here. I mean, I have like a G head. Probably drop like a full line or something. Hopefully. Let's see what we can do though. Oh, look at that. Perfect. I need that kill. Oh, there's 2 people here I need. Why is there a guy with a chestplate here? Oh my god. Just pull this dude here. Back up, bruh. Good hits. He has a totem in his hand too, and he's on 46. Yo, arrows, can you like do your ding? Okay, or don't. Hit his damn. Oh, bruh. I need these arrows to damn proc, bruh. You can punch him with the lightning. Wait, what? I can punch him with this and does more damage than throwing it? Oh, this guy's mad at me. Dude, oh, these dogs are annoying. Thank you. I have no healing, bro. I gotta like do something. I have a head actually. Oh, I missed that. What the fuck did I just hit? Can I find someone that's like almost as stacked as me? Just anyone with that full diamond. Yo, soul taker, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. You got a god apple from Aries. Chat, should I gamble the head? Chat, if I gamble the head, that's my only chance of like healing. Should I gamble it? Yes. Gambling addicts, I swear. Oh, look at this. No, I need this kill. I need this kill. Oh my god, this guy's after me. And he has Pufferfish Cannon. Oh, I just lose here. I lose here. Oh yeah, he's chasing me too. It's just wraps. It's just GG's. Actually, back up, bro. He's gonna need a apple. He's gonna need a golden apple. All I gotta do is just dodge this Pufferfish and I'm chilling. Ready? A gapple. I was telling you he was gonna eat a gapple. Okay, good thing he doesn't know how to throw a thing. No, dodge it. Oh no. Another gapple, bruh. I'm just dead here. It's just wraps. Oh fuck, yeah. Dude, I am playing so bad, bro. Holy shit, I'm playing horrible. We rock a civ. You think I play? I'll carry you, blood. Let's play. Let's play, Eric. You have a third? Yeah, it's 0-1. We don't count the first game. You never count the first game. Only if it's a win. You don't have a third? I can get someone. I can get someone. Let me get some real quick. I'm playing with Eric. No way Booster got offline. No way you got offline. This guy's fake, chat. My friend hates me. I can match his E-packs. Full. Oh my god, bruh. Chat, my dude, I'm so bad at they don't want to play with me. Hold on, I can get someone. I can get someone. Everyone's just been busy with lifesteal. Also, Inferno's a meanie. Hold. Yeah, Flo just plays Civ, right? Sorry, Flo just plays Civ. Oh my god, I can't speak English. Flo just plays solos. There we go. It just came out. No way you have a third, Inferno. You have so many friends. My friends hate me. I'm trying to get this person. Wait, is Dazam online? Dazam is offline. Dude, I have like 10 games played, but I forgot every time. You wouldn't get it. Okay, bro, I've gotten like 18 kill win. Wait, how do I, is there a way to check that actually? Is there a way to check how many, it's like top kill win? I'm curious. Oh, I hit 1,000 minor, nice. Also, I've never gotten Archer. I don't know why it says I have 181 kills with Archer. Is it just like with a bow? It definitely looks like a bow kills, isn't it? It's definitely glitched. Is there really no one online? Damn, Flotus has Snick now? That's not good. Burbo? Time for chat. No, wait. Solo? No, I'm playing with Eric, but I need a third. Wait, I know what I can get. He's a bow god, bro. He's a bow god. His name is AJ the Bold. This guy can like kill anyone with a bow. Yeah, AJ, exactly, push exactly. Because Boostford just egoed me. I can get Bobble on too, maybe. I already asked like 4 people. Let me just wait for them to wait. AJ? Yeah, AJ. I'm waiting for Boblu. Actually, I asked Boblu now too. How do you get the pet the dragon? It's your throw button, A-dubs. So whatever your throw button is, when you're on the dragon, press your throw button and you'll pet the dragon. So Q or minus X. So it really just depends. Dude, there's no way. Wait, it's only 10:30. That's red as well. All right, I decided like 6 people now. I wonder if one will answer. I wonder. You see, right now I'll be able to play some arena PvP, just waiting for people to answer. But I can't join. Surely I could join now. Wait, not that. Oops. That's not that. Yeah, if only I could play arena PvP. If only I could play arena PvP right now and play while I wait for my friends to answer me. Instead of sitting around. What? December. They said December. They said December. This game was coming soon. Wait. Nope. My friends still not answered me. Wait, actually, I could ask here. Hold on. No friends. My friends hate me. Need third with Inferno. All right, I'm asking the Discord. I'm asking the Hoplite Discord. Alright, on say, alright, on mama. Yo, can't wait for the new season. All right, now we're just trolling. Let me in the arena. Let me just walk around or something. Let me show off the arena lobby. How about that? Can I leak the lobby? Can I just walk around the lobby of the arena PvP? Just got the final cosmetic yesterday. Oh shit! Wait, speaking of final cosmetic, I probably should. Oh what? Oh, I haven't gotten it yet. Fuck! I have 5 days to get it. The last cosmetic. So I need all of them. I need 4. Yeah. Jesus. Okay. What game are you saying? It's duels. It's the duel lobby. I want to just. My friends, please, anyone, answer me. What's crazy is I even asked the people that are like addicted. Oh, hold on. Yeah, see these lovers. I forgot to ask do some the actual lovers. Nah, this decent guy went outside. I have a friend. I asked like there. I just got someone. Literally, yes. Eric, I'm calling on Discord. Eric, you smell like shit. I'm adding Bob Blue.
What's good?
What's up? All right. What's up, chat?
What's up, chat?
All right. So now you give me a leak, right?
A leak?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Can I get like the sword in my inventory? Can I get the sword in my inventory or something? Can I get the pickaxe in my inventory?
No, it's not on this. It's not on the server.
Oh, it's on the dev server.
Yeah.
Damn it. So what about so arena PvP? Can I get a leak there?
Why are you calling it arena PvP?
My bad. Sorry, dual PvP.
Duels.
PvP. It's PvP, is it not?
Yes, it's PvP. Okay, it's PvP.
Okay. Okay, bet. PvP. Okay, just PvP. Yeah. When is that coming out? December 1st? Is it coming out season 2?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. What do you mean you don't know? You're the damn admin.
I just don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna believe that's up. It's gonna be yes. It's a yes. It's a yes. This Bobble guy's kind of lives in the North Pole.
Really?
Oh, nice. Oh my god. How you been, Eric?
I've been all right.
Yeah.
Doing things. Being
On the server? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, a lot of it's like mine. Every last second of my time.
W. Hell yeah. Do you even eat, or do you just eat hoplite?
Sometimes it's infrequent.
Okay. Why did you say it like that? Sometimes.
I have to.
You said sometimes.
I don't get food unless I put in like 12 hours for that day.
Oh, nice. Me too. Wait. I don't get food if I don't stream for at least 4 hours of hoplite a day. Even then, it's calling it.
Fair.
Hey, what?
That's fair.
Okay.
You
Next time we're doing an 8-hour stream.
consistent.
Hi, Bob Blue.
Exactly.
Fucking dumbass.
Hello.
Just fucking smell like shit. Yeah, what's up, Bob Blue?
What?
Sorry. Get on.
I am launching my game.
Also, Bob Blue, I got told to leak pickaxe.
Really?
Yeah, for next season is pickaxe. So it's gonna be like this crazy pickaxe that like every 100 blocks you mine, you get +1 efficiency.
No.
Mm.
No. Absolutely not.
Fuck, I thought it was like that one other server.
What's you're lying? Okay.
Oh no, I would never lie. Wait, I just realized there's fucking buttons on these fences.
It's actually the lumberjack axe, except with stone.
Oh, it's like a vein miner.
No.
A vein mining pickaxe. W Eric. W leaks.
That doesn't. Nobody would give a fuck about that.
I would go fucking mining for a vein mining pickaxe. The fuck?
That's just so like, I don't know. No impact.
Oh, I know. I'm not impactive anywhere. I know. Wait. Oh, why the fuck are you the Joker skin? Whatever that is. Party
I don't know.
invite.
That's the one they gave me.
Eric, join my party. Don't slash Nick. If you slash Nick,
I
yeah.
wasn't planning on it.
I'm
Good.
Nick, bro. Screw that.
oh, pussy.
What?
Yeah, you're a bitch. Why do you slash Nick, huh?
Oh my
you
god,
get-
there was an admin and a YouTuber in this game. Oh my god. Holy frick.
Who's Gerg?
Argle. I had a crazy Nick the other day. I just slashed Nick. It was just insane. Bruno, why'd you kill my whole family in 1999? Eric, want to speak on that?
What? Who said that?
Someone in chat said, why'd you kill his family
Hello?
in 1999? So are we speaking on that, or are we just gonna let it slide?
That's slander. It's just outright wrong. I've never heard of that.
Before Chris wants me to call you obese. I don't know if you go Chris, but
Yo, Chris kind of stinks
oh, I know.
at Hoplite.
Yo. Let me actually tell you a story about Chris, right? This guy basically admits to stream sniping me because he wants harder lobbies. So he joins my lobbies when I stream. Think about it. Huh?
Wait, that's like,
Bro, literally third impostered. like,
well, that's a good mentality.
oh yeah, okay.
I respect it.
Okay, so fuck over my game so you can win a game. Okay, I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense.
A good idea.
I mean,
Okay.
sniping your lobby it's not necessarily like the worst thing ever.
Want to
But
die?
targeting you,
Yeah.
that's a different story.
Oh, wait, no, he wasn't targeting me.
Yeah, see, you're fine.
Andres.
What about targeting me all of 100, 100, and not letting me go until I die? That's kind of weird, right?
That's pretty weird, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that had to happen to me already. Anyways, I love Minecraft though.
I think you told me about that guy.
Yeah, he didn't mess. He didn't get. I didn't get a message back from anyone. I got egoed. I got egoed. Like always, I got the casual Greninja.
Yeah,
Is there one
mods are
other?
good, but not gonna take care of everything. I respect that, especially if it's you.
Okay, what? Like, okay. What do you mean, especially if it's you? What did I do?
The stream. Okay. Now, I'm not gonna promote breaking rules, but the stream is arguably funnier when you're when something bad is happening.
What the fuck, Eric? Like what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
it's
right.
like,
Like, I
it's
don't
pretty
know.
funny when you die in
I'm
game.
right.
Like,
He's correct. Like what?
I guess it provides some content, but dude, hello? Like me molding? I don't think that's good for my head, for my mental.
Yeah, W content though.
Okay, so basically, content over mental. All right, W.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Just watch on site now, Bob. It's on site.
Someone's got to be the punching bag content creator, and I think you're the perfect.
No. I will not be
Yes,
the punching
yes,
man content
yes.
creator. I'm gonna have like 30 reports that are not gonna get denied because content. That's just it's gonna say.
We handle someone's random report. Dude has the smallest problem. We fix it immediately. Make a report about someone like doxing your entire family. You're like, bro, come on, be a good sport about it. Come on, like.
Yeah, it's catch a target now. So I could say I don't know. Oh hell no, dude. On like the ban report, it's like he tries to get me banned or something. It's like, all right, we'll take care of it. Get me banned or something. Like, what the fuck? Reverse Uno card. Yeah, I get banned for killing him. He's a new player, man. Deal with it. Get banned.
I got a fortress, but it's probably looted already.
Also, we gonna talk about
what?
We gonna talk about how you got 3 legendary weapons last game.
I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
And died.
Okay, sure. We'll talk about that guy that dug down on me and just didn't want to fight me anymore. Like, what? What was I supposed to do there? Also, he did 3 hearts a hit. I couldn't take with him because I'm full iron. I feel like I'll just die if I did try to like, you know, just 1v1 him and just like trade shots. Okay, yeah, fuck me, I guess. Yeah, fuck me. Like, I don't know. I was a top leaderboards player. I quit for 2 days. I stopped playing because I had like stuff going on, and then just GG. I come back and I'm 16th, 18th now.
Top leaderboard player. You're.
I was definitely no. I was like a third. I was third. I was third. I was right behind Flows.
What? But you're the
Yeah.
guy?
Well, I would have
Talking about like day of release or something. Like what?
Yeah, like first week of release. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I just
shit.
GG's.
You have to love Minecraft to hit the leaderboards. That's the thing.
I know, but don't worry. I'll come back. I'll come back to the leaderboards.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Season two is my thing. Season 2 is my thing.
Well,
You know.
leaderboards aren't reset every season. That's a permanent thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Okay.
You know, I'll find something crazy to
Oh,
break,
really?
and then yeah.
Okay.
Because the Enderbow, yeah, that like the reason, yeah, that was me. Like I just found that out, and then I was like
Then
going
it got
crazy with
nerfed?
twins. Yep, and then it got nerfed, and that was just dog shit.
That's just a glorified pearl machine.
That was fire though. That was a crazy. It was like a tracer rewind. I loved
Yeah,
it.
Tracer Recall. I thought it was the best ability.
It was like hello.
It's too,
It was just so
confusing,
yeah. Everybody told Stu about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I know about it. I know about it." Bro did not know about it. Bro was like, literally coping that he knew about it, and I told him, he's like, "Oh, wait, this is actually broken." It was a game where I was full iron, and the last like 4 people was like Carlos Rods and like 3 other Spanish players. They're crazy crossing on me, and I was like, you know what? Fuck them. I had a pearl inventory, and then I had like blaze powder somehow. I had everything I crafted, so I crafted it, and then I just won. And I felt so happy with myself. What's up, Zokul?
Andres.
I don't know. Shit gets agitating. I was playing a game last night at like 2 a.m. This kid starts. I said, "Yo, don't cross on us," and then he starts mocking me.
Oh.
And I cussed this kid out. I was like, "Oh shit, I probably shouldn't have done that." But who cares?
Poor kid is just like 13, just got Minecraft, and you're over here fucking, fuck you, dumbass. Like, okay. Bro, definitely not logging off Minecraft after that one. Like, so, season 2. We gonna talk about it, or?
Nah, I can't do that.
Oh, you can't do that? Why?
If I was gonna drop some crazy shit, I wouldn't do it in the punching bag stream, you know?
Okay, what? Like, all right.
No, like, that makes sense, no? Like,
what do you mean?
I'd drop some crazy shit, and your viewers would be like, Andres is bald.
Okay, well, I'm
Like,
not fucking
they
bald.
wouldn't
Okay,
care.
why the
They
fuck do you
wouldn't
start calling
care.
me bald now, bro? No, we're not.
They just wouldn't care.
Okay. You cannot be calling me bald, bro. Like, you just, like, no, there's just no way you already know about that meme, bro. There's not even a meme. Like, what? No, it's enough, Eric. That's enough from you. Bro, I can't find a fucking cave, and I'm actually mad.
We lost already.
No, what the fuck? You lost already.
Diamonds.
Wait, also, yeah, I was gonna ask you. So luck does not affect chess, correct? I was told it doesn't.
It does. It does.
It does?
Not by an insane amount, but it does.
Okay, so it is a little bit.
Or it should.
Because, you know, it, like in vanilla, it doesn't affect chess. It only affects fishing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did something custom for that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, see? Okay, so Squid does not know. Squid thinks that it's all vanilla.
Well, it's Squid.
Yeah, it's Squid. You're right.
It's Squid. Like, come on. Let's be real with ourselves.
I got amethyst. Wolf. Oh, how about this? Will jungle get a buff? Please.
I don't know.
No. Fucking hate spawning with mushroom.
I would hope mushroom gets a
Sorry,
buff.
mushroom, not jungle. Mushroom, not jungle. Holy shit! I spawned jungle. I spawned mushroom, and I just want to like cry. But then again, it's fine because I just server promotes crying.
You're the goat.
That works too.
Okay.
I am the goat. I found fucking diamonds above me. Like what? Okay. I have 4.
Nice.
Who's making enchants?
You.
Okay. I got Tomo.
Yeah. That's
Yo,
all
what's up,
you.
guys? All right, we're just not talking. Okay. Good comments, guys. I'll see you guys later. Okay. Oh,
That's a good sign.
It's. Oh, they see me. They're saying hi to me. Chat. All right, bye, guys. Have a good day. Can I have your diamonds? It's Andre's tax. Can I get your diamonds?
Andres tax is fucking crazy.
Okay. Yeah. No, I can't have
No
your
one
diamonds.
is abiding by the Andres tax.
Well, they're getting all be trapped. Yo.
No one will be partaking in that. So
do you mean?
You just made some shit up.
Yeah, the Andres tax, like
It's
phantom
not like
tax,
you're.
but Andres tax.
I know, but like it's not like you're an authoritative figure, you know.
Fuck.
So it's like
Skibidi toilet.
It's kind of. Oh, okay.
Like, what does that even mean, bro? Like, there's just. Oh my god, I don't understand what that means. Bob, what the fuck does that mean? You have a fucking skibidi toilet skin.
What?
Okay, stop
What
fucking
is-
acting like we're
what?
brand new. Bob, you have a skibidi toilet skin.
I don't know
What
what
does it
you're
mean?
talking about. I don't
All
have
right, should I
that.
pull it up or
Well,
like?
Andres is like 27, so it's only natural.
Okay, I'm fucking 24, dude. 24. Same thing. Like,
That's
Low-key it
exactly.
is, though. Low-key
Yeah,
it
like
is.
I was about to.
it's like not the same thing, bro.
Type of track.
Yo, I'm pushing 30. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, hairline receding.
Well, my hairline's actually a fire.
It's not looking good.
Hey, Bob, was my hairline fire? You saw me in real life. What?
For now.
What the fuck you mean for now? Like, what?
You're on borrowed time. Let's just say.
Actually, to be fair, my parents started balding when they were like 35, so I might be scared soon. My parents, my
It
dad.
starts tomorrow for you.
Okay. No, it won't. It actually starts tomorrow. I'm suing your dumbass.
What? You
That's
can't
right.
sue me for that.
Hey, Ken. Fucking
Oh, okay.
or
Fair.
or
For what?
or fucking I don't know. I'll ask my lawyer to sue you for something.
Oh, okay.
I have a crazy lawyer. You know that? Probably.
I don't think Gerg understands the game very well, guys. Just to be honest right now.
All right, bro. Apply for YouTube break now, knowing what the server is like.
He just got YouTube like a
he
few
did.
hours ago.
There was this guy that was like streaming on Twitch. I was watching his stream, and he was just like, "No, how did Rain Dynasty get YouTube rank? He's 29.9K." I'm like, all right, well, someone's mad. So I look at his stream, I look at his follower count. Bro has 3K. He's applying for YouTube rank. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? How are you getting mad at someone that has YouTube rank? And, like, it basically deserves it, and you're over here at like 3K. You know what I mean? I don't know. You'd be wild then for the YouTube rank. I would do some crazy thing for YouTube rank if I wasn't at 30K.
Oh, what is wrong with you?
What? You wouldn't?
I
Bro.
don't have to.
Eric, I didn't tell you. The first day I logged on, it was not playable. I log on and there was just like 3 like kids that are like, "Oh my God, Andres, you're the man high YouTuber. You're not running away from me now." So I just had to keep running to border. It happened to me like 2 games in a row until I got YouTube rank. I slashed Nick and it was just amazing. It was fire. It's not playable without my YouTube rank.
You're not even Nick.
Who-
Like,
who
what are you
gave
talking
you
about?
YouTube?
I mean, not anymore, huh?
Who gave you YouTube?
Marbar.
Oh, okay.
Why? Okay, Eric, what the fuck? Why are you questioning who gave a YouTube rank? Like,
just curious, like who made the executive decision to do that?
fuck you, fuck you.
Like 30K, bro. You should be worrying about your 401K. Okay, like holy
what?
shit.
Okay, Eric,
Retirement's
okay.
calling, buddy.
Okay, all right. Are we done trolling here? Well, I was never trolling. Like, I just like know Eric's response to like almost everything, bro.
Really?
Okay, this guy just broke my crafting table. There's a whole team on me. I'm going to you guys.
I don't know what we're doing. I'm kind of just walking around. Do you have enchants or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I have that in
How
sword.
do you, Andres?
Yeah, Obby. And a book.
Are you crazy? I have a
What?
book.
Okay, well, just be careful with this guy.
Dude,
Just- But Eric,
you take the book, bro.
what's fine? We kill him.
Why are you being a bot?
We need more. Oh, you have a book. Okay, cool. We just need more leather then. Do you have any leather on you?
Bro, I have 2 books.
Oh, okay.
Crazy man.
But I'm saying though, do you have any leather for me so I can make a sharp 3 diamond?
I don't know. But I have an extra book.
Okay, so can I tax that from? Can I tax that from you?
Yeah, you can Andres tax it.
Thanks. Make that a thing now.
We need Abby.
Yeah, we need Obby.
Yesterday.
Fuck you mean yesterday? I have no gold, bro. Oh no.
Bro, I don't
Chili-
know a sword yet.
Surely we meet up with Eric and he has like just full diamond. Just,
No, I'm
full-
I'm kind of the same right now.
this guy's about to. We're gonna see him right now.
Not
Full
looking
diamond,
good.
just like 13 gaps and just like crazy
Oh,
stat.
yeah.
No.
All right, bro has just nothing.
Whoa, why are you holding me? Aren't you supposed to be the one that's good at this game?
Okay, yo. Okay, hold on. Let me lock in then. Need Obby.
Okay, yeah, lock in. I don't got Obby.
Okay, we
Find
gotta
a
find
lava
lava.
pool.
Yeah, lava.
I
We're
have
getting
2 lava
stuck.
buckets on me, but
Okay, I always need 2 more then. Yeah,
I
this.
have 1 on me.
Okay, I have 0 on me.
why don't you have
Slacking.
lava, Andres? You're throwing.
Well, I got 2 water buckets, so I can make the infinite water source.
I have 4 buckets because I'm actually a skilled player, unlike you. So.
Oh, can we find lava somewhere?
Yeah, I think our teammates may be a lost cause here.
I think. Oh.
Oh, look at this guy.
Yo.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, look at this
WT. Okay.
fucker.
Okay.
Yo,
Look at this fucker.
Pass me your
This
lava
guy
bubble.
stinks.
So,
Come here. Come here. Whatever. Fuck this guy.
no way he goes for me. But yeah, can I have your lava bucket, Eric?
Yeah.
Can you take this bubble?
of course, yeah.
There's someone back behind you. That's the same guy.
Oh, book.
That's your book. That's like
What
on
the
me.
fuck?
I passed it. I passed it.
Oh. Careful, he's coming again.
What the fuck?
Why is he trying to
does
1v3, bro? This
it-
guy thinks he's John Wick.
I don't want it. I don't have healing. I don't want to take a fight.
Okay, here. Enchant's down.
Whoa,
Bro,
whoa,
I
whoa,
can't
whoa! Look
enchant
at
my
this guy.
armor.
This guy. Hey, quit being a freak.
Can I have one book,
He needs to
Bubba?
stay on guard.
I got it. He just made a PP.
That's
Dropped a book
yeah. We have to
behind
kill him for that.
you. Oh no. Can't get anything good.
We have to murder his whole entire bloodline for that one now.
Let's get a shovel.
What the fuck?
I'm
Cobweb,
breaking one of
cobweb,
my
cobweb.
boots. Probably-
Look at him.
He's
Oh, I
loving
have
it.
a
He's
cobweb.
loving it. He's loving it.
Oh,
Is this an Andres lover?
let's go.
It's
No.
quite clear. No, it has to be an Andres lover. He's
Wait, can we
acting
ban
weird.
Andres for having
What?
strippers give us loot? He gave us loot, so like
Oh yeah, to ban him now.
we have to ban you because you're enabling that behavior.
21. Come here. Come here. Wait, I
There's
heard if you
another.
shift.
There's another guy to the left.
I see that. Two guys. Yeah. Yo, shift 3 times if you're a
Okay.
stream sniper. You
Oh
just team
my-
carded me. You just team carded me. It's crazy. Had 3 gaps on me though. Holy shit! I would just.
How'd that not kill
Died.
you?
I don't know. It did a whole row of hearts to me though.
Where's that?
15. Holy shit. Okay. I was wondering why he was like mining a tree. I was like, why is he just
Yeah, you have the
shearing?
master plan, bro. How come you didn't die?
I
Did they
don't
not
know
have to
because
kill
I
him?
think explosives are nerfed. No.
Yeah, they are
I
slightly.
just had 20 hearts as well.
They can still fucking destroy you.
Yeah, I saw. I saw a full diamond die to a minecart. Yo, Costa, thanks for follow. I appreciate it.
Hey, Lizard King.
I know you can hear me, man.
Just make the process simple.
Wait, I realized I'm hot micing. Oh my god.
Hey, it happens. Did we get the head?
Yeah, I got that. I can make a G head with 1 more gold. Oh, he's dead here.
How did bro?
Just get inside me, Bablu. There you go.
Yo, what?
There you go.
What?
Like,
Y'all
bro,
hear that? No! Don't go back
You
on it.
cannot.
bro.
Yeah, you're.
Oh,
You just drained my
nah.
water.
Like, let me
you
go
bot.
inside of you.
Oh my god.
There you go. It's just player collision. Like, you just, I don't know. It's like boosting basically.
Were your XP boosting?
Yeah. So.
Were your account boosting?
Yeah.
Wait.
So.
Alright.
You know,
do
people were
a
actually
live
doing that until I
confession?
told them not to do it. It was my. Oh my god. Okay,
Oh, so
I'm
you
gonna.
just are the influencer, I guess.
Yeah, I am the influencer.
You wish, bro.
Okay, what the fuck, Bablu? Like, why are you coming after my neck?
There's
Dude, how did I just.
a
This
dead
guy's-
body there. No way.
Oh, nice. Just leading
that's
to a dead body.
crazy.
Yeah, keep going for him. I'll get the dead body.
He's on 6. That gap did not help him at all.
Oh, nice. It's our fucking teammate that logged out here. Nice.
I am
Like,
dog shit at Minecraft. That's awesome.
you guys good?
Yeah.
Nah.
They're running. He's running to his teammates.
Okay. But do you have any gold? I can make a jihad before they start the fight.
Crazy.
Oh, I see his teammates.
So should we just run or? I don't know about this.
Eric is chasing. Eric is committed, bro.
I ignored. I ignored all of them. Said fuck that.
You could try to kill this bot squad here.
Oh shit! This guy hurts.
Drop one.
Oh, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. I'm fucked. Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me!
Run.
Oh!
Let's drop with a sharp 3 fire 2 sword.
Oh, he hurts.
Yeah, he hurts a lot. I need. Oh, I have gas. I'm good.
I'm dead.
Are you dead? I'm coming.
He's on 21. Somehow. Oh, I can get it
Save
here.
him! Save him!
Okay, he just ran back. I have a jihad.
I also have a jihad.
Under chill.
Oi!
Chill out, chill out.
Oi!
I got him, I got him.
Oi! 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 Okay, okay. All right, our teammates just are just picking the loot up. Nice, love it.
Anyone have gaps? I have like I don't
No,
have gaps.
I'm look at my health. I'm kind of low.
I have 1 gap. I have 3 gold. We can make our lights.
Yeah, we can't make our lights. I
That
haven't
guy's
made my
got
lights
gold.
yet. I can make a sharp 3 real quick. Wait, you got a sharp 4? No, sharp 3 fire.
Yeah.
Your Charmad, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. And Sumimo, what's up? Okay, I got 4 levels. My inventory's
I got
clogged,
OP
bruh. No, please. Wait, what?
Ooh, I can make shears.
No, wait. Oh my god. Okay, well, I didn't know that.
What?
Light apple.
If you combine like a sword that's sharp 1 and a sharp one that got added a book on, like it becomes like a sword sharp 2 that has a book on it, so you can't put sharp 3 on it.
Oh. I have gunpowder though. By the way.
I still have a minecart. If we get a KB sword, we could just ruin someone's
Anyone
game.
need an apple?
Alright, yeah, I need everything. I need golden apple. I'm on 5.
Oh, just take this. Take this. Do you have anything? You don't have anything?
No, I have nothing. That guy shredded me. What's good, Bo? What's good, bro? I have bones. Okay, well, there's someone over here.
Where?
Oh, there, yeah, full iron. Yep. Oh, it's a fucking team there.
Oh my god, that's a big team.
That's a fucking huge team. Bablu?
Yo, what's up?
Yeah.
This is bad.
Hey,
shit.
guys. Hey.
We don't
Bablu,
have the
you're gonna have to need to like low key pick one off, 1-on-1. You know?
But yeah, I can. They stopped chasing me. They need to be interested still.
Hey
Yeah, we split 'em up.
guys.
We
split 'em up.
Hi. Oh, they're having the microphones. They're bowing. I got no healing for this. Hey, guys, put them up right here.
Why are they losing interest? Why are they actually clever?
They see me and they're like, "Oh my god, Andres, he's so scary."
You're right.
They're dying to my wolves. My wolf.
Getting destroyed.
Look,
Lucky I don't have healing like at all.
look. Let's just put this guy off here. Get up.
What if there's a gold chest?
I
plate, bro?
don't like this.
I don't like this at all either, but I mean, it's working.
Woo!
Like, he just got 2 free hits on that guy. 28.
And
Oh fuck! I got that mad. She got 1 guy on me.
oh, we got one guy here.
Botting out. There's a whole other team just coming in, by the way.
Oh, really? Get out.
Yeah, get out. I mean, if you try to get a kill, our teammate might die here. 19, we're chilling. Oh yeah, no, our teammate might die here.
Get a G-head. Yeah, this is not favorable at all.
Yeah, and there's a whole other team just coming in right on horses and stuff.
Oh my god.
Yep.
The golden chestplate could drop. Unless it's like prop
What's-
4. Actually, it probably is prop 4.
Bro, there's a team behind you guys, bruh. Come on now. I think they're just figuring it out. Oh wait, our teammate's chasing this guy. Oh, he's on 33 though. Uh-oh. Yeah. I think we keep running.
There's so many players here.
Dude,
oh my
there's
god.
why is everyone at pause like border, bruh? Oh, they're fighting now. They're low-key fighting. Never mind, they're not fighting at all. Oh, actually, one just died. They actually are fighting.
We're getting bowed at.
Take these bones. Let me pick them up. Just 11 bones. You can make tracker packs and make wolves.
Yeah, I didn't get them.
Yeah. Yo. Okay, they're actually fighting now. Wait, there's a. Oh, they're still chasing. We gotta like I need a bow. Because the other team's like right behind it, just picking them off, but they're still chasing us for some reason. Yeah, I think they just figured it out maybe. There we go. There you go. There you go.
Yep.
Secure out the area. Just clean this up.
They're still going our this
Oh
is
my
such a fucking
God.
fucked up fight.
Could try to TNT minecart off the Sphinx.
Uh-oh.
Why are they still just hard chasing?
I don't know. Let's go stage killer.
No, it's
Oh.
not a big enough drop.
Disperse in the woods.
Yeah, just
There's
like
only 2 guys chasing us, Qndres. Low key.
what's your healing? I'm only on
I have a head
Oh.
and a G head.
okay. Low key. You have diamond boots
I
though.
don't know, like
They're still chasing. Still chasing.
They're chasing,
Still
yeah.
chasing. Oh, well, someone here! What the?
Good shit, run.
Fuck?
Just run. Wait, do you have a head? Wait, you had a head, right?
yeah. You want it?
Wait, our team just like made it out alive somehow. Our whole team.
I don't know how. Hey, it's strange.
We go back now and we just like low
They're
key.
down at. They have like 4 people left and one's on 1 HP.
Wait,
But
this
I
guy
don't know
has
who's-
instant prop books on his body. I just got prop.
Oh,
3.
incoming.
Incoming,
Whoa,
here.
Jack Cass.
My EG had some because I'm low.
Okay,
12?
21.
12.
21, 21.
Jack Cass 12.
Just run over to the other team. Just run over to the
Who is this other team? It's Swamp. Okay, I don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Me? Oh, I see that. Why? Oh, eat jump bubble, eat bubble, eat bubble, eat bubble, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Nice.
I'm coming.
My teammate just missed out.
There's like 2 in a cave.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's very strange shit going on.
What the fuck? Okay, well, shit. Like now what?
I think just run. We find another team that's
Okay.
way more killable. We need healing really bad. I don't know. This is like in every game I usually at least get a decent amount of healing.
Facts. I just had
They're
no gold
dying.
on cave. Yeah.
Not Raptor died. Yeah, they're dead. Ignore.
They're
them.
all in that cave.
Yeah, no point in going back if it's.
Yeah, and there was only like
super
they're all full
one-sided.
iron too, so I mean it's just like it was just a drain low key. We would have killed that jackass. Oh no, they just stepped them. Rip. Wait, Bobble, so what's your sword, Bobble? You picked up a what? A fire aspect sword?
Yep, trap 3 fire 1.
Oh, that's chill.
And I got like a bunch of prop books off that guy that we just killed, and so
Yeah.
I'm like prop 3 chestplate and 2. So that's kind of hype.
You know what? I don't understand when people. Why do people offhand gaps? Isn't that way better to like offhand blocks? Because you can like
Yeah, I don't know.
mess people's like movement up with blocks. That's what I do. That's why I do blocks.
I guess if
Alright,
you're
we're
used to
far
hotkeying
enough
blocks
gone.
on your hotbar, then
True.
Do we have tracker pack or no?
I think it's someone on my bones.
Oh.
yeah, you try to give it to me, and then I didn't get the priority to figure out.
Oh, sorry, team. I picked up the 13 bones. Okay, that's chill.
Yeah.
People.
You the one over here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like a dog. He looks like a doggy dog. Holding out an iron axe.
Looks like a Newbert.
Could be a trapper. Could be a trapper.
This is you, right? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh, what the fuck?
What?
Okay.
Okay, well, he just one HP.
Yeah.
Okay, got that kill now. Any gold on him? I guess I'll make my light apples if I get gold.
I can make
Yeah, I can
my,
also do
one
a
of my
light apple.
lights.
Oh, let me get that.
You can only make one light.
Oh, our teammates are dying as well, too. Just
Oh, what? To the same people? How did they? Okay.
I should
That's
just
on
keep
them.
running.
Yeah.
There's still that
Who
team with
cares?
pots, by the way. Because didn't you say someone got pots, Bablu?
It was a fortress, yeah.
Alright, fuck. So someone has pots still.
There's an opera here.
What? Oh, I see
There's a
that.
sword.
I see that. Turn Eric.
Almighty shreds. He shreds. He shreds. He shreds.
You can just eat ahead if
He's
you
on
can.
18. He's on 18.
I don't
yeah,
think
we
you
killed
Holy
this.
shit! I just missed. He's dead there.
Oh, he's on
No
20.
way.
Holy shit.
Nice.
Sharp one Midas, but I mean, fuck it. Any healing? Gold? I got gold. I got apples. Oh my
Why did you
god.
do so much damage then.
I mean, your armor is kind of like
Here, take a gap. I made a gap. I made a light.
light.
Okay.
I had prot insta enchants that I picked up.
I have Pro 2 leggings I just dropped down.
La 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 la.
I'm just dropping everything that's not good. Right. Fuck, okay. Loki, I
I have
probably
two
should just...
heads. I could do some. If you guys have redstone, you could gamble.
Do you want to gamble or do you want to use the head for like healing?
Well, what if we get like?
I'm
32
gambling.
gold?
Fuck this shit.
Okay. Gambling addict 1, 2, 3. Like, nice.
I feel like it's so much more valuable.
Are
than-
instant just a new thing or just a Civ thing only? It's a Civ
Four
thing
hearts
only.
you
It's
could
only
do.
a Civ thing. What's up, Jonas?
Potion of
Sorry, bro.
healing. Look at that.
Yeah, that's just so much better.
Instant health 2. How much does that heal?
I like 8
4
I think.
hearts? No, 4. Insta 2 is only 4, no? And then Insta 3 is like 6, and Insta 4 is 8, a whole row. Right?
I thought Insta 4 was like 16 or something.
No. Maybe, actually. I don't know. Chat, anyone know?
I thought every level was 4 hearts, but I think the first one is only 2 hearts. So you might be right. It might be 4.
Because I know it's like 1 is 2. 2 is 4. Insta... Okay.
People. Oh, big fight. Big team fight.
Okay, we gotta go clean this. I'm low, but...
Oh, fuck.
Oh, you don't have the pack on.
no. I don't have pack.
You need to you put water below you and then just puts it on top.
Okay. Cool.
Like, we actually, like, low-key cut this guy off right here. The guy at the very back.
Guys that are bowing.
It's Savannah team. Savannah and who? That's
25.
23. There's no water, no bev, no bev, no bev, no bev.
Just gonna get more bev.
Oh,
But he's
God.
not.
Oh, more.
He's not.
Whoa. That's another team. Whoa.
Oh,
There's like 3 teams involved.
Motherfucker. I see. I'm with you, Eric.
Okay.
We chase Bubba. Come to the right, Bubba. Because we're gonna get a little sandwich here. Yeah, you come this way. Oh, they're chasing us though.
Okay. Let's chill.
We are not the threat. We are not the threat. Yo, boys. We are not the threat.
Lucky we are though.
No. There's a whole team behind you guys. You guys should not chase this.
Yeah, they definitely
Dude,
can't hear you from this far.
They can't. You're right.
Where do we drop these guys?
Oh, looks like they're fighting now. Yeah. We got this.
I had people. There's people by me. That it looks like a smaller team. Oh,
Wait, I don't know.
Wait, I'm lying. I don't even know, dude.
Oh wait, I don't know where
There's
you're
no
at.
one we can take.
We're
I look
following.
to the left.
We're going northeast. We're chasing this one guy here.
41, bro. I don't have like any health. I have 5
Holy
hearts on this.
shit.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, I have no health. Oh, but there's... Yeah, we're getting fucked.
I have a pearl. So I can. Okay, they
I might be
left
dead
me.
here. They're just chasing me right now.
What if I try to TNT minecart someone? Like if I build up and then I jump it on them? Like. I'm gonna try.
I'm good at running, so chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I see Eric's glowing distance.
But if I just had a redstone.
Oh, I just ran him into a whole other team.
Probably some healing.
Oh fuck! I got people on me.
Good luck.
Bro, what is?
I might not be able to chase him long.
Ugh.
What
is going on?
What is this game? Waiting boat from the
It's just
side
all
now.
right. It's just mediocre threats that we just can't handle.
Oh, I
Like,
Loki might be dead here.
Cut him off.
Yeah, there's a whole team chasing me. I got no. I'm getting boat spammed.
Pablo, there's people behind me. It's a team of 2, but you should watch
Yeah,
out for
I'm on
these guys.
5 hearts and
Oh
there's
shit.
people.
Okay.
Do you have? Oh, there's more people.
Going down.
Do you have
Like
redstone?
what is this? I do.
Need to kill.
They're
Are they
chasing me
chasing
underground. Yeah, they are.
No,
What-
you're
what
chilling,
team?
you're
What
chilling, you're
team?
chilling, you're
I
chilling.
don't know.
Oh.
There's one guy chasing me.
Oh shit! Another squad rolling in.
But I'm like
They're
super
going straight
low.
towards us. Okay,
You have
You
like
still
any
have a
jihad?
pro or no?
I do still have a pro.
I
Might wanna
just ate a
save that
G head,
for-
Andres. So can
Yeah,
try.
if you
Yeah. Oh, you have a
need
good sword.
to, but-
Yeah.
Got him! Holy shit!
Oh my god. Wait, what?
Nice.
Let's go help.
What the fuck?
Are there people on you or no?
Nope.
I think they all ran from you.
I'm
Yeah,
full
you're
pro 3
good.
iron.
Unless there's someone underground digging you, then you're good.
Holy shit! I
Give
can
me
make a
redstone,
jihad.
give me redstone, give me redstone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can make sharp 3 iron maybe?
Something good, please.
Sharp 3 iron or
They're coming
prop
back.
4?
That's all right.
Something For it. I can get the jihad
Oh,
actually.
the border's coming in. Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, come up there. I just saw someone else in the distance.
Yep, coming up. You guys need a prop 3 chest plate?
Teams are
Iron?
teams are dying though.
No, I already have one.
Yeah, I do. I need
Okay,
that.
coming up. Holy.
La, 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 la.
He said, the kid, before I killed him, he was like, come on, Andres, I just did a jihad. Come on, you can find me at least, man. So I fight him. He's like, wait, your sword does damage.
Wait,
Wait, you're gonna die in the border.
No, I'm good. I could just, I'm pretty sure I'm mine faster than the border shrinks, so.
Now you're dead. 3,
Fuck
2,
you.
1.
What way is the border coming from? Is it both
North.
sides? Okay.
north
I
and
do.
east, but north is closer.
Alright, chilling. Here,
Holy
take this.
shit. People,
Oh, shit, we need to get the fuck out of here. Where do we even run? Which way do we go?
I don't know. We have to like low-key split up. I'm gonna jihad if he hits me once.
Okay, I have a jihad as
Yeah.
well.
I just need a jihad right now.
I'm splitting once again.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah. They're just bowing me for some reason. I might just go down in the cave again. Just try to drop another one. Yep, I'm going in the cave again. They just bowed me in.
Okay, wait, I can try to drop a minecart on them in the cave. Oh, fuck, never mind, they're on my ass.
They want you bad.
Wait, eat a jihad. Can you eat a
my
jihad?
God.
Yep.
Are they chasing me?
Oh, shit.
They're not chasing me. They're not chasing me. They're not chasing me.
They're all on me, bro.
Just run.
Now, like 9 players on me, that's insane. Wait. Oh, if I go up the mountain, I can drop the minecart on them.
All right, anything you can.
This better be nuts.
Anders, you should be good.
All right, coming up. Holy shit. We got no healing, bro. I swear to God, like this is like my first time killing people and not getting anything from it. I usually get like a gap or
just
two.
dead,
People.
bro.
You have a head?
I'll have to. No, I
I'm
don't.
killing one. Oh, he ate a G head, dude. What a pussy.
I see you, Eric.
I'm
Wait, this
pearling,
guy's
I have to.
killable because he sucks.
Yeah. Pull
Coming to
away.
you. His teammates here, but we can take a 2v2 maybe.
30. Fuck, he's so high health. 17. He's
another
eating another
G-head.
G head, bro.
You want to turn on the guy behind us?
Sure. $15. He's in
This
a,
is killable. This is so killable.
I'm on 2.5 hearts. That's
we're trying to kill this guy. 4.
He's 4.
Nice.
Got him.
Who's this guy here?
I'm looting.
Yeah, loot. I can take this guy. I'm low, but I can probably take him.
Prot 3 boots.
Holy shit, W. What's Nathan Ufon or some shit?
32. I'm coming to chase.
Okay. Keep running, Wild Blue. That's
Oh,
he's looting back to you.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm on half a heart and they're shooting me with Artemis. So
Oh, you're running straight to us. There's another guy there.
If one of these decides to track onto me, I'm dead. Like, if his Artemis bow decides to
19.
somebody half a heart.
Oh,
Nah, there's genuinely no way.
we just dropped another one of the
They
teammates.
just give up. Okay, well, I can keep leading them in random directions, but
Okay, no.
I have
where
2
you at?
gaps.
Where'd you
Eric, take this. Oh, you're 40, but take this anyways.
these fuck yeah, it's over.
Oh, damn.
They're distracting
No,
me.
we can like. Oh, dude. I wonder how good that mushroom team.
They have my
is.
fire sword now.
Damn.
So we just gotta like low-key wait for them to fight each other. Fine, just
I could
be
have something crazy here. I could have like, oh, that would have been sick. I didn't.
just be our eyes.
They're over
just
there.
be-
They're over here crafting, but it's all. It's their
Yeah,
whole
they're
team,
looting my
all four.
shit.
yeah, we gotta
They have
just
a
like.
minecart as well, so careful.
Yeah.
I can make an. Have I made my lights?
I don't have 5 gold though.
I have. I have.
Give me a jihad.
I can make a jihad. Yeah. Give me
Here.
gold. Thank you.
Gold right there. Hey, how much nuggets do you have on you?
6. And
Yeah.
2 ingots left over.
Oh,
I have a. You can take these.
oh shit.
I mean, I'm gonna
Okay,
grab
run.
an Ares.
Run. I think they're after us.
What?
Are they coming?
No.
Oh no, they're not. I thought they were coming.
No.
Please gold, please gold, please gold.
Not too bad.
I can make a chest plate.
You can, yeah, make a chest.
Is there do you have an inch table?
I don't.
Fuck.
No.
Do I just put prot 1 on it with the instabook?
Yeah, do that.
Fuck, okay.
This is winnable if mushroom sucks and
Hmm.
both green teams go for each other.
There's a diamond sword here, sharp 1. There's TNT. I still have amethyst on me. Wait, can I? No, I need 2 amethysts anyways. Fuck. Oh, this is that much work. Oh
This
no.
guy real? Why is
I'm
he?
telling you, I think you just found a YouTube video or something about Hoplite.
I don't know who he is, but I love him to death, and I love him to death. But he applied for a YouTube rank before playing a game.
It's wild. Wait, I'd probably get blocks for deathmatch because I have nothing.
He's investing, you know.
True. Invest in the
People-
Hoplite.
someone-
Hold on, I'm
someone over
getting blocks real quick. 'Cause I have
I'm
nothing.
trying to see. It's mushroom team, I think. Yeah, it is mushroom team. They just don't see me.
Yeah. I think
It's
Yeah, I
only-
mean,
3 of them,
what's your healing by the way?
1 and 1. But
Okay.
I want to kill this so bad.
Do we want to kill it though, or do we want to like let them
Yes,
fight?
Yes. No. They're not gonna do shit.
Oh, I see.
just saw them.
What? Oh, you're like right.
On
Okay,
this guy's on 14.
I see what you mean now. Who's on 14?
Gamma.
2. Got him.
Guy in the water's on 3. guy in the
Oh
water's on
god,
3.
what is that?
Oh, he had fire sword. I'm running. Run.
The guy in front of you guys is on 3. The guy that was right across the line.
I had to. I'm jihad.
He's still on 3 and he's right behind you. You could one-tap him.
Who?
Got him.
Who are you talking about? Oh, that guy. Okay.
I think I fire sword. I'm gonna have to run a little bit here. I'm gonna be in mad annoying with this guy. Okay, he just hit a head on me. Fuck. I have a lot of gold, by the way.
Damn, that was a really dumb fight. I thought they weren't as grouped as they were. I don't need the head right now, I think. Better to save.
I'm low-key fucking this guy in the water. Bruh. well, I'm low now. Can't get those apples. I got the apples. Okay, well, oh, I see. All right, they're just going for arrow shots, but they can't hit me at all. Okay, chilling.
Holy shit, we survived.
Dude, okay. Well, I just got like some gold nuggets.
Oh,
I can make.
people to the left. Oh, it's a two-man team. To the
Yeah,
left.
I'll be honest with you, it's not worth us, dude. It's not going. It's not worth going for us, bro. There's a whole 5 team alive. You guys should go for them.
Uh-huh.
I'm being serious. I'm being. Look at her health. Like, hello?
Yellow team. Oh, it's you guys. Oh, I'm not fighting the YouTuber. They're good at PvP. No, I'm not fighting them. Don't fight them.
You see the perks of being YouTube rank W. We're getting chased. We're not. How much gold do you have, Eric?
2 and 6 nuggets.
Okay, here, make a jihad.
Okay. Alright, awesome.
I have no healing, but I mean, you have a jihad, so you
Yeah.
have to like low key pick people off here, huh?
Or
Pick
just
up
let
the
them
loot.
play it out. Pray that they all cancel each other out, which never happens.
You see that full
really.
line right there? Right here. This guy's on 7. This guy's on 7 here. Eric.
Okay, I'm coming. Jack Cass?
Yeah. Sorry, Jack.
Oh! Fuck.
No, literally one. Nice, good shit. Wanna like low key just intervene a little bit here? Okay. Oh, what's that?
Look
Okay.
at. Oh
We
shit.
book.
I have more gold, but
Okay.
you
Have
can't make
apples?
any more heads, right?
Nope.
Oh, wait, apples. I think I can make a light.
Yeah, do you have here? I have bones, by the way. If you can make your tracker packs be annoying.
Okay. How many tracker packs do you get? 2?
2, yeah.
Okay.
Dude, there's so high health. Holy shit. Yo, Chief, thank you for the raid. Thank you. We're currently in the deathmatch. It's not looking too hot for us, but I mean, hopefully we can win.
What's
Thank you
your
for the
hero?
raid. How was your stream, bro? I have it literally just ahead of healing.
Okay. Take this.
Thanks.
He's low. Low.
It's not worth going for us, bro. It's not
Oh,
worth going
it's
for
you
us.
guys. Yeah, I'm not fighting you. You're
Yeah, you have to fight this other team, bro. I'll be honest.
Run.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
You're just bowing.
Oh,
Hi, Ratch. Hello,
Oh, there's a player
everyone.
right there. Player right there.
Oh, I'm hot micing. Getting-
This Gurg guy, man.
I don't think he knows. Loki.
Oh, what? Who is this? Who is this?
Wait, who is
Full
this?
roll?
34 solo.
Solo. Yeah.
Have to drop him.
Someone over there as well.
Get ahead.
I'm looking.
He had a G head.
Look at this guy. He's singled out. Oh shit.
Why are you going for me?
He's on 19. Good. Okay, I'm backing up.
What happens to not going for us, huh?
No, we're not
up,
going for it.
back
We're just playing strategy. Okay.
Okay.
Look over here. See this big ass team head over here?
No, I want an Ares. Hold on.
Oh, this guy wants to gamble. This guy's a gambling addict.
It'll be worth it.
I swear to God, if you get a dead bush, you're costing us the game. You're costing us the game if it's a dead bush. How was your stream though, Chief? How was your stream, bro? I'm in the fucking I'm in the outs. Oh, okay.
Okay.
You have apples?
Yeah. Here.
You have gold?
You just got the gold.
I didn't pick it up.
Oh, I thought you did it. What the
I
fuck?
got it. You get, dude. I'm not gonna steal your gold that you got from that. Come on now. Here, you want a gap?
Yeah.
Just had an E1.
Oh, they lost one. Wait,
Yeah.
wait. This is legit winnable if they just.
Look over here. Look
kill
over
each
here.
other.
Big fight. Yeah, yeah. We gotta go like.
No, 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 no. I don't think. No, not yet. Not
No,
yet.
not
Look
yet?
at their health. Not
Okay.
yet. Not yet. Don't even get in their sight. They will like notice.
I have 1 gold. Oh, I see that. I see what you mean now. In their sight.
Look at this.
But they're
Fucker.
dying though, dude.
Mushroom's
Erg.
dying. No, no. Gurg and Scoppy versus the other green team. That's like the fight to clean.
Yeah, like
let's
that.
find it.
Those guys over there. Yeah, those guys are. This
You have
Gurg
arrows?
guy, bro.
How many arrows do you have?
38. Take half.
Herg is a bot,
Okay.
bro. I'm gonna be honest.
Like, look, they're cleaning in now. Wait, this is actually like. Hold on.
Oh shit. We have to go for DJ Boss End.
Right over here. Eric, you with me?
Hold on.
Here,
Just make your place right now.
here. Nice, 10. Nice.
Nice, nice, nice. Oh my god.
Sharp 2 diamond. Do you want a sharp 2 diamond?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Unless you have anvil. Do you have anvil?
Nope.
I'm gonna make one real quick. This is worth
The
it.
solos are fighting each other.
No, that's not good. Wick. That's not good at all.
Hold on. Oh shit. Okay.
I'm just trying this skin.
Yeah. What is that?
21.
Let me know if you need head.
Good. Wait, low key?
Ignore the solo. Ignore the solo.
Yeah. I have no healing, by the way, but I mean, I can pick up the header here. Fuck.
Twenty.
They both have Artemis.
Oh, this is not good.
They're still healing.
Yep.
Just keep locking up. You have any gold?
Yeah.
Tossing you gold.
Me? Oh, shit. I don't have apples though. No point.
Big apples.
Oh, boy.
I kind of want to rush this guy that's just bowing. Actually, no, he's. This coral has to do some damage, bruh.
We need to go. We gotta go. They're gonna just keep spamming it. Yasa.
Teammates in.
25.
What is this fucking fight?
I'm still going for
They
Yasa.
still have healing, bro.
Oh my god. Why is coral going for us?
On 6.
I got no heals.
Fuck. Coral's gonna win this.
He's gotta fight the other guy and you have to clean Qndres. I don't know.
Oh, this guy's just going for me though. I got no water.
Oh my God.
Fuck. Dude, what was that game? Coral just wins this.
Yeah, that's insane.
How did Coral win? No.
No way. Wait. Wait, Nizzy is.
Wait, low-key, wait.
Wait. Oh, never mind.
Remind
you
this
saw
guy
it,
just.
Shield, it's over.
Yeah.
We should have gone for that coral guy from the beginning, huh?
Couldn't have known.
Yeah, we just didn't know. Oh, we just opened the chest up. Try and pick up everything you can. Yeah, he just wins. GG's.
It's insane.
Wait,
Hey,
top
KT.
kills, 8 kills. That's it.
KT. Oh.
We go again.
Okay,
Of
sure.
course.
Let's do it.
That was just like that was like the weirdest game though. We go up. with,
I
like,
know, dude. There was no reason. Everyone was just weird.
Dude,
Everyone
I'll be
was
honest.
That's so bizarre.
I think
Averagely
that whole
annoying.
game, I was like just on one row of hearts the whole game because of that TNT minecart from that one guy.
Low key. Low-key, it was also just lows.
I can't requeue for some reason. Here we go.
Goal or some shit.
Alright, we win this game though. We win this game. Oh, okay. I just muted up, but someone said a crazy word.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know who that was. Anyways, one sec. Yo, thanks again for this, the raid, Chief. Appreciate it, man.
Bro, he's going up to you.
I saw
insane
you
on
play
this,
it.
bro. It's insane.
Who is it? Pablo? I'm muted, so I can't tell who it is. Do you know who it is?
Who is it? Who is it? Who is it?
Who is it? Pablo? Oh, Pablo, who is it?
I think it's the IGN. I don't know where he went.
Is it Lissy on? Wait, can I report him? You can just
I genuinely have no idea who it was.
you said he was right beside me, no?
He was like walking up to you, but I could recognize his skin if I see him again, but
Was it like I don't even know. Was it like white eyes? Right here, look, is this guy?
No,
Yo, Lissy.
it was not that guy.
Oh, never mind. What in the world is happening?
Wait, Destroyer's in the game.
No, I know.
He was in our last game.
It's the goat.
Okay, so good thing I didn't hear it too much. I didn't hear it. We're chilling.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything. I didn't know what you're talking about. Why is there a mushroom in here?
Oh, there's a structure right here though.
Yummy.
Hey, you
Alright,
got that.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm gonna try to go nether, but let's see.
2 diamonds.
What are these village structures now? I don't understand them.
I got a Lear 2 book. Knockback 2 book.
Weird. Why is it like that?
I guess Brad, I got a looting 2 book. Or knockback 2 book.
Oh, nice. Oh, knockback too.
Knockback 2 quick crutch 2. Oh, and there's a locked out player here next to us. And is he on our team?
Your teammate?
It is not our teammate.
Fuck him up.
Flint.
Qndres Booster is better than you. Yo, whoa,
What the fuck?
Wait.
True, though.
Me
Huh?
personally?
True.
Me
I wouldn't
personally.
take that. But I wouldn't need to take that either. Wait, this guy's actually being toxic. You can ban him?
Me? I'm banning him?
Yeah, can you? What
could.
the fuck? Dude, there's a horde of zombies right next to me. I'm trying to... Oh my god.
I could if I was, you know, a hater of content.
Okay. So you actually keep... Okay, well.
I just don't stand for that, you know?
Hey, Eric, I just, just some talk to people in this lobby. Can you get them banned? No, it's fine. Okay, like, what?
Like, bro,
Nah,
you've been
you'll be
doing this
good.
you've been doing this for how many decades now?
Fuck
Like,
you.
surely it's not that bad. Like, you've seen worse.
Oh, I've seen worse, all right.
What are you saying?
And you're 17 years of streaming.
Okay,
I get
17
that,
is
it's
crazy. Maybe like 8, no. I only streamed for like 3 years.
You're lying now.
That okay.
Okay, like,
Let's stop with the jokes.
oh my fucking god, hold on. I'm being a bot right now.
What are you not being about there?
Okay, why am I getting roasted right now? Guys, are we clearing comms or what's going to happen?
Here it comes.
Can we clear comms with the being toxic part? Thanks. My mouse is acting up. There you go.
Wait, hello?
I can see the future. You like Travis Scott?
I can see the future.
Very good.
Like the way it sounds.
I'm tempted to go to Rolling Loud.
Bro, you don't stop talking about this, bro.
I want to go, bro. I want to go.
Yeah, we get it.
Are you
Go
fucking
already.
serious? Oh, fucking go, alright?
Yo, where is my lava pool?
Dude, I'm killing like all these.
How is it this far away?
Alright, for sure, Fatal. Dude, this game is trolling me. There you go. Finally, bruh. Nice. I got the head.
Please tell me there's one more source.
Oh,
somewhere.
10. Okay, he had a lot of arrows on him.
Oh my god.
Qndres solos boost for any day. So true.
Well, I'm not going
That
to
guy stinks. I don't say it enough.
Wait, boost for?
Yeah,
I know. Sounds like shit.
stinking it up. Exactly. Not as bad
Fuck
as you
that
though.
guy.
Let's be real.
Okay, fuck you. Fuck you. Like, you've got me excited over
Let's take
here.
a
Like,
step. Let's take a step back. Just
I like that song.
reality check.
I can see the future. It's looking. Fuck, man. I'm going to Rolling Loud. That's it. I'm going to Rolling Loud. I don't give a fuck what anyone says.
Nobody's telling you not to. Who
Fuck.
are you arguing with?
Arguing my
The
fucking
voices in his
demons.
fucking head.
Facts. That's it. I'm going to fucking Rolling Loud. I don't give a fuck what you say, Bablu. Fuck you. Just
Do
start
it
cussing you out.
already.
Just start
Fucking do it,
fuck
dude.
you, asshole. I'm fucking going to Rolling Loud.
Alright.
Okay.
Watch me.
Yeah. Fucking
So what are the plans for next year, Eric?
Next year?
Yeah. You know, because
For
December's.
Hoplite?
No, in general, for yourself.
Oh,
And for Hoplite, basically, was what I'm trying to ask.
Hoplite,
Okay.
Hoplite.
Okay.
Some more Hoplite potentially.
Okay. Okay.
Bit of all that, you know.
You know, I did hear some
Variety.
people saying that they really want an SG server. What are your thoughts on that?
They wanted what?
People want SG, but like their own
Oh,
take, but
that's-
Hoplite's
yeah,
own
that's-
take on it.
Disgusting.
Oh,
That's not gonna. I have Amethyst.
not gonna happen. There's a big
I can guarantee that with 99% clarity that will never happen.
never happened. Damn. So okay. But Bed Wars. Okay. Yeah, Bed Wars is something you guys were looking at, I heard. We were?
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah, I just like knew you were gonna say something. Wait, we were?
said-
Wait, like some NPC thing. Wait, what? What about that? Like, okay. To be fair, all SG servers crash and burn, true. Too much sweats, right? Well, why do
People, what I'm hearing is you're talking to people that just be saying shit.
they be yapping?
They just-
facts.
they just,
no,
like,
man.
Make words out of their mouth. Like
No,
just talk.
I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm pretty sure MCCI was supposed to release like a SG soon. No, I was supposed to like bang, but honestly, I don't know what they're doing over there.
Who told you this information?
Bro. I got the ins and outs,
Like
bro.
you are not an
I got-
insider. I hate to tell you, but
I can't say too much, but I know some stuff. I know some
Stop
stuff.
acting
Let's-
like you got connections, bro.
Bro, I have the connects, bro. You want to see? I can't show you actually, because
Yeah,
you know
actually, I do.
then they're not gonna trust me ever again.
Oh, okay.
Wait, but I'm literally singing on stream though. The swords is no, no, I don't talk to Sandwich Sword. I feel like play with them in events though. Yo, that mayhem update, Bablu. Oh my god, bruh. It's actually annoying for myself. Like I was already laggy enough. They made me like 10 times more laggy. I've been?
You've never even tried it yet. How do you know it's gonna make you 10 times more
Bro,
laggy?
it's fucking Europe, bro. I'm in the West Coast. I'm in California, bruh.
Oh wait, you're right.
Source is Azuf. No, not Azuf. Azuf knows nothing. Azuf vouched for survival games.
what?
Azuf was like, oh yeah, I'm down for some survival games.
Oh, vouch.
Yeah,
Thought he
we're
was
basically we're in a call with
Putting
Redunes and we're
forward that information.
no. And like Redunes is like saying how no server has like a good survival game server.
Yeah, because nobody likes it.
Yeah. I got Amethyst.
This is the same genre. This game we're playing right now.
Yep.
Same shit. Different font.
Ooh, that shit goes hard. Wait, what the
Ooh.
fuck?
That does go hard. What the fuck?
Wait, same shit, different font, same shit, different day. Hold on, I'm cooking.
Yo. No, never mind. It's not.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Fuck
literally just had to
you.
ruin it.
Okay. Well, fuck me, I guess then.
Gladly.
Okay, Also, dude, I've been seeing all these streamers do this lava glitch. Is it allowed or not?
Seeing under lava?
Yeah.
No, that's not allowed.
Damn.
do
What?
that.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna do it anymore.
Don't do that. Don't see it. The only thing you can do that's like glitchy is F5.
F5 in caves.
F5. Yeah, in caves.
Wait, but it's a vanilla Minecraft feature.
What?
Which part? The lava part?
Vanilla. Isn't that vanilla? Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like harder to like
Alright,
ban X-rays though.
Wait.
It's hard to moderate some
Yeah.
things. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, there's like 17 different glitches. Like, oh, hold F5 while putting a finger in your butt, and
Wait.
you can see everything. Like,
Wait,
like,
hold on.
there's
Wait,
all
what's
there's
that?
all.
Try
Wait.
Wait, don't actually try it. Hold on,
What
Wait.
about the composter thing? Is that even still a thing?
dude. I don't even know. I don't know. There's too many of those niche
Yeah,
little like
What's up, Swifty? What's up, Nadava?
do
Hello.
7 different things.
I know
to
that one.
Do that. And then...
Apparently, some of my channels about the butt one.
Okay.
I just tried it and it worked.
Holy shit.
I just found 13 diamonds. Like,
You're free,
Yeah,
Qndres.
if you have to ask yourself, is it
is it
allowed?
bad? Yeah.
Answer is
Well, so
not gonna bode well.
you can get a bucket of lava or empty bucket and just like, you know what I mean, like empty out the whole lava pool, right? That's allowed because it's
Yeah.
like,
What? Why would that not be allowed? What are you talking about?
You're just wasting your time, but yeah.
Yeah.
well, no,
Go ahead
because
and do that.
if you can't like
You wanna
see it in lava,
fully- Bro.
just like empty out the whole lava pool, you know. Someone said I used it, they banned me. Okay, well.
How do they know?
Someone said, I don't think the finger up the butt is a PvP tactic. You're right, because you're using your thumb. I tried and I found double 8 diamonds? Huh. I think you didn't find. I think that's just a different thing. Oh, I just stripped my diamonds. Okay, I think I just did it. I think I just did the method.
Wait. Are you telling us something?
Wait a second. That is like really weird. What the fuck? I stopped talking and I just keep stripping and find diamonds. Hold on. Wait a second. Nice X-ray. What's up, Matzo? Alright, chat, watch this. Ready? I'm gonna X-ray some more. I heard something here.
With confession live.
Wait, Loki, we could go for Artemis, can we not? What am I missing for Artemis? TNT, never mind.
Yeah.
No, there will not be a mod to validate those diamonds. There will not be a mod that takes away my fucking diamonds from inventory for that. Wait, I have 7 diamonds.
What?
Okay.
I have everything else needed for enchants.
Bet. Wanna go up?
Yeah, I'm up already.
Jesus. Okay. Oh, I see this cave very quick. I'm gonna go mine to it. I have 19 gold. Wait, this game is going 10 times better than the last game. Hold up, we cooking?
Would I have 3 stacks of diamonds?
Okay, I actually tabbed. I thought some moderator gave it to me. Sure, the moderator won't get banned for that because that's just like, you know, they're just giving me a fair fight. They want me to do good. I just found like an eluded cave.
Yapping about right now.
Probably fucking shut the fuck up before I shut it for you.
Oh, yes, sir.
Wait, why did you? Yo, Pablo, all right. Can we clear the comms now? Thanks. Like, what the fuck was that? Fuck you mean? Thanks. Sorry. Subosted. Is it Inferno? No, it's some other bot. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it is. It's him. He's him. That's him. It's him.
Timothy.
It's actually an impersonator.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
W.
Yo.
Fuck
I
yeah.
have his account, and I just
Wait.
have like admin commands.
Wait. Hell yeah. Wait, what's an admin command you can do right now? Actually, never mind. Don't. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. I already fucking know what's in your head, dude.
What
Don't fucking
you
do it. You're gonna fucking slash ban me or some shit, dude. Like, I fucking know you too fucking well, dude. Like, ban Andres playing too much. Get off the game. Like, on
Good
gold?
idea.
No, it's not a fucking good idea. The guy that had owner on Dapo? No. It's the guy that had owner on a Hypixel.
actually didn't own Tapple or anything.
Oh,
Or this. Don't do that
Oh.
either.
you're just a dev.
Yeah, no. I just like control everything from the shadows.
So you're
And
like
I'm
a
just-
secret owner.
Yeah,
Okay.
but not like a real one, you know? I was a fraud. I
Oh.
was and still am.
Oh yeah. Wait.
What the hell? I have a pearl somehow. I
Bo
don't know how I got
Boosted
that.
can vouch. He
Could it
loved
be-
me back in the day.
Could there be creator codes for the server, or maybe in the future?
Maybe in the future.
So that's another
That
thing that
wouldn't work.
YouTube people have been asking me. Just like Hypixel, where it's like you can just, you know. I feel like the server needs money right now to like fund itself on before it even like starts to do that
Yeah.
shit.
That's basically it.
Maybe once the server has like funds and shit. Oh my god, Andres, I love your videos. What's up? Hello. It's a follow. I'm gonna come up now.
Nobody said that. You made that up.
Bro, literally someone in my chat just goes, OG Andres, OMG, I love your vids. Like, hello? Like, am I fucking tripping out, or am I just saying things right now?
You're reading
Actually-
fake chat messages around. It's insane.
Okay, like, okay, dude. Hey chat, what's up chat? Nah, you're not even reading your chat, buddy. Have you seen that one guy that's like, no one's talking in his chat, he's talking to himself? All right, guys, see you tomorrow. Oh, don't leave? All right, I'm staying here for 5 more minutes. Like, what's up with you, Bablu? Like,
No, what?
hey guys, I just made extra time. What's up? What's up, Japley? Schizo. W Schizo. I'm going up.
Don't vote Andres.
People said otherwise. You know what always gets votes?
No.
Can you go surface, please?
Coming.
We gotta.
Yeah, I'm recording.
That always works, bro. It always works.
Fine.
Fine.
Fine. I guess I
That's
have to vote for
crazy.
the streamer, the YouTuber. I see you guys. I see your fucking dumbass with the. Anyways, 2 diamonds.
Alright.
There you go.
Oh, I'm making it. Okay.
You have everything for it, no?
I do. Yeah.
I'm coming.
An extra book.
Why do we love offense so much? I do not.
Well, it was. I mean, we can still go prot, but I mean, we have like no diamond pieces. I feel like if we have diamond pieces, we go prot. But we have no books. Fuck. Second, we get a book right here. But there's a fucking naked guy right there just shifting. He's a. He's a sniper, bruh. Oh no, it's 2 like just NPCs.
Oh, awesome. Could be trapping. Maybe.
One's naked and one's full iron, and it's it's 4 people. It's 4 people. It's 4 people. I have no healing. Do you have a? I can make jihad actually.
And
There's
not
another
being-
jihad.
Yo.
Why are my lights not on?
We're going for this. Fuck it.
Are we? We should. We should.
I have a sharp 1 sword.
I need copper to make a short sword. Shit.
Oh, they're. Oh, hold on. They're not on the same team.
What?
This full.
What
This naked guy is chasing the full. Dude, no way this guy kills him.
All right. Looks like you guys got that unlocked.
Like what? 4 gapples.
Who's this? Some random. One of our teammates is
Alright.
fully naked. It's very.
Our team picked the head up.
Reassuring.
W.
Our teammate Stwigs is dying. We should
Oh
go to him.
no,
Oh, never
no,
mind.
not Swigs, no. Alright, come back up. See
Oh, there's
Bablu.
people on me. Oh, get up to surface. Get up to
Okay,
surface.
I'm coming up.
How do I know enough copper?
Hey, let's
Oh
fight.
my God.
Let's fight. Let's fight. No. Get back here.
Where y'all
Get back
going,
here.
bro? Where y'all going?
Yeah.
Let's fight.
Holy frick.
We can't fight.
Wait, whoa. Why?
Who the fuck
Why?
has a
Why?
horn?
We have a team.
Bum. Oh, there's a huge fight to our right.
I see that.
That's who's doing the horn.
I'm sorry behind you, Eric.
Wait. We're literally fine. Like we're literally friends. I promise you.
Wait, guys, screeny, big screeny. If we all
I
meet up.
have like 7 diamonds for you. I'll make it 8 if you turn around right now.
I have 3. Wait, Eric.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Eric.
Oh shit! They actually turned around.
Guys,
I
guys,
wasn't
I do not
expecting
want
that.
to fight. This is all my team. This is all my team. Please, just leave us alone, please.
Nah, bro, your teammate hit me once. I have to go for him now. Sorry, man.
Bro, don't go for the frog hat, please. I'm innocent. I actually won't attack you guys. I'll give you a gap here.
Eric's taking that.
That's pretty good.
That's Eric's tech. Yeah. That's
Thank
Eric's
you,
tech.
thank you. We'll ignore you and then go for your teammates, okay?
All right, please don't
Bet.
go for me.
We will go for you. I think
this guy. Oh my god.
Go for that
Okay,
further. I got this gun in the lift.
okay.
Pablo?
This guy is like.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
Oh. Please, let me go for this guy. Wardings, 18.
There's a guy on me.
Escaped an NPC. What the flip just happened?
Yo, Montestaire. Hello. Thank you for the follow.
You're on higher HP than me.
Here's a follow.
Wait. Look, this guy. That guy's just running. Went up. There you go. Boost you a little bit.
Oh, he's about to get destroyed.
My ping is 88.
Big water. Big water.
Should hit him here. Oh my
That little
god.
water was so awesome.
Hit him here again.
Oh, it's over.
I'm like
He's like
boosting
full
you.
health. What the flippity dippity dippity do?
Oh, you okay? I just missed that. Oh my god.
Lag.
Just get inside of me.
What?
I ran out of food. What, Bablu?
You're a freak.
You NA? I'm NA, yeah.
No way he's
let's not run all day, man. Like, come on.
Nah, I'm gonna run
No.
all day.
Come on, bro. I got stuff to do. I got bills to pay, man. Okay. Yeah, we're not chasing that. We'll learn.
That was fun.
That was very fun. I have 33 gold.
People, oh, big
What?
fight in here.
Oh, I see that.
Oh my god, of course I
Ow.
just randomly get bowed, bro.
Come here.
Done.
Hey, stop bowing me, bruh. Okay, guys. Oh, they're Arctic players. I wonder. I think they're Arctic players.
Oh, big fight. Oh, there's more team.
Oh my god, bruh. Uh-oh. What? Oh.
Oh,
Okay, bro just exploded in my face.
what?
Hey, wait. Get back here, back here. This guy came back. Bro, why are you running to the water, bruh? 1v1, bro. 1v1. 1v1. 1v1.
No, I got my kill. I don't want my kill. I'm out. I just want my kill.
Bro, you're so weird, bruh. Okay. Swear to God, we have people that run more in Minecraft than in real life. Jesus.
Behind. Oh, whoa. Why have you come back?
Yeah, behind. There's a whole team just bowing, bruh.
Hello.
Look at this guy.
No.
Who's doing Ares in the middle of battlefield?
The ghost. Wait.
I'm trying. We just ate,
Ghost.
we ate 2G.
I like 3 guys on me, but they're just not doing damage. They're like no impact.
This guy's on no health.
14.
Dude, his teammates piss me off.
I can't. I don't know where you are and I can't help. I don't have healing.
I need help, by the way. I'm going to York.
Oh my god.
Just run, Bablu. You're gonna get like, yeah.
They're still bowing. Like, why are they?
Yeah, they're 1.8 Arctic people. Like they just bow
Go
again.
on.
Nice, so we're coming to York. I have like no healing. They keep bowing me.
You have no healing?
Yeah, I have a gap. I mean, I'm chasing this guy. He's on 6. You have a bow or anything?
Our teammate's kind of getting fucked right now.
Yeah, we're getting chased though. Got him.
Nice kill. Yeah.
Move that shit quick. We gotta go.
With the apples.
Toxicity toggle.
Do you have a crime table?
We should chase these two.
Crime table was Bubba? No, crime
Oh,
table, crime table, crime table.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, I have 30, 40, 46 gold. I'm making my lights and another jihad.
Nah.
Who needs gold?
If I hold him down. Oh shit.
Dude, they're still bowing, bro. Shot
Oh my
him.
god, bro. Like, what are these guys
Our teammate just
doing?
died.
Okay, our teammate just
Both our
died.
teammates just dead.
I just popped. Whoa. I see that guy has a punch bow.
I'm making a jihad. Oh wait.
Okay.
Yeah, I can make one.
Dude.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah. I have 3 diamonds on me, by the way. Whichever. Wait, what's your guys' healing?
3 diamonds? I have
Head.
1.
The normal head.
I have 3. Make boots or something.
Yeah, you make
I have
boots.
no heal. Does anyone have 2 gold? I can make a jihad.
Yeah, here. I just
No.
here.
Oh my god, bro. Like, what is this?
They're still here. They're still here. Watch out, watch out, watch out.
Did you just leave?
Oh
Like,
my! I mean, like they're just gonna chase us with bowing. Okay, we can't even go 0-0 because they're just gonna chase, and worst comes to worst, we go nether. Probably you're by yourself, by the way, or Eric. Shot on 25. Wait, Loki, you just bow this Zach guy. He's just bowing us. Like,
God, it's the same as shit as last game. I can't do this.
43.
Hey guys, can I please have a head? I need
No.
a head.
okay,
please.
fine. Come here. I'll give you a head.
Please, no, you won't.
Bye. No way.
I wanna make Reaper Scythe. I've never made Reaper Scythe before.
That'd be lava. That'd be lava.
Our team sucks.
I'm 10.
Our team sucks.
Not 5.
Hey, I play with
I have a jihad, by the way. Let me know.
his sword is cracked. What the freak?
Thanks. If Eric, you're getting 3 gold, you just don't care because you're just going in.
Warning's 1. Warning's 1
Got
HP.
him.
Nice.
I'm picking that up. I got the head. I'm gonna go for this guy on the ground.
Come on, turn around, man. Turn around, man. Your team's dead. Just fight. You want a fair fight? I'll give you a fair fight.
Drizzy Drake.
wait till
Oh,
you
come here,
play
Drake.
Don't
I love your
It's a
last
1v1, bro.
word.
Come on.
Leave me alone. Bro, it's a
Yo, it's not
2v1.
1v1.
Stop.
Wait, I'll take all my armor off and then you have to
Yeah, take
sing,
your armor off. Take your armor off. Yeah, take your
God's
armor off.
Plan.
Yeah.
If you could sing a Drake song right now, we'll leave you alone.
Yeah, sing a Drake song. Oh, well, he's just not gonna sing a Drake song
God's
here.
Plan.
God's plan.
Not
W
singing, bro,
Drake.
you just said God's plan.
God's plan.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Feels
Dies.
good, sometimes you don't.
Oh my god, all this stuff is going down here, bro.
Oh.
Wait, a crying obby.
How did I just get... Oh, I just got 2
Wait,
heads
2
off.
crying obby.
Okay. Oh, wait, we can make 3 of amethyst?
Yep. You have a head?
Okay, I have 2 heads. 2 heads, yeah.
Passing 1 head. Passing 1 head. I'm gonna make it right now. Reaper Scythe, got it.
Oh, blood.
I got another kill.
thing.
Nice, Eric.
Nice.
I have 4 diamonds on me, so I can still make boots, or I can just save for chestplate or something.
Why are you lying?
What the fuck? Okay, I guess I'm lying.
I don't trust you, bro.
Oh, what the fuck is this?
Run.
Dude on horse. Where are these people coming from? I need assistance.
Going. Come here.
His horse is so fucking fast. And
Dude, you're
his bow
so
hurt.
annoying, bro. Holy shit. Can we, like... This is actually annoying. Like, look at this! Like, they just don't melee either. GG, buddy. And arrows. They're like literally 11. Okay, well, I have a lot of gold and a lot of apple here. Take those guys. Make healing.
Yeah, give me. Give it. Jihad.
You have what's your healing, Eric?
2 jihads.
Okay. Well, yeah, Bob, what's your healing?
2 jihads and
Oh,
2
you have-
gaps. So you've got the gap right here.
Thanks. I only have one gap, one jihad now. You still have jihads on you. Do you have any sticks, Bobs?
Yeah.
And iron? Pass me 6 and iron.
I don't iron.
I stink at bow in this version. Oh my god.
You have iron?
Iron? Yeah.
You have anvil?
Anvil? Well,
I'm just gonna make diamond boots. I'll make diamond boots.
Like, why are they doing this? Let's just leave. I don't want to fucking deal with this shit. And if they want to
Neither.
follow, we'll just come over here. We're gonna go this way.
Nether.
To the nether.
I mean,
Good.
we could go to 0-0 with nether.
You wanna?
I mean, like, we can't go to 0-0 here.
About to get bed bombed as soon as we enter.
Imagine.
3-2-1.
What, that one? I don't think he has friends. Okay, booking. Fuck. Who's bridging? Fuck, alright. Leave the streamer fucking do it then. Alright, but it's over this way, isn't it? Oh, fuck. Like a Y70, so we gotta like... Was it a pot game? Was it a bashing game?
Not a clue.
Oh, fuck. Wait, I can check right now. It's a bastion. This way. Here. I can light it. Oh, fuck. Okay, well. You be bad? Oh, nice. We're in a fucking cave.
Yeah, buddy.
Creeper?
Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Oh, brother.
Well, we're at 0-0. That's chill. Dude, there's so many people still alive. Holy shit. 17, 5 team. I see a guy. It's Destroyer. Hello, Destroyer. Let us fight. Come here, Destroyer.
There's someone below.
I'm fighting Destroyer.
You're getting trapped, bro. It's over.
Destroyer's not trapping.
I've been running this whole game. No.
All right, let's fight then. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Mirror.
All right, let me
I'm gonna get the.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get the other
bet.
guy.
1v1. He's in 1v1 me.
bet.
Just bet. Let's go.
I have no healing, so whatever.
I
Okay,
respect
bet.
it. I respect it. Come on, Destroyer. You got this. You got this, Destroyer. You got this. You got this.
Holy. Okay. You should. There's apples here. There's diamond boots as well. I'm gonna get those real quick. So. Not 2 down here. Oh, that's enchanted armor. Oh, we'll take these boots.
Ooh, let's go.
Let's go. Oh, okay. Oh, I made my healing ready. Okay. You have anvil?
Heck no.
Fuck, I have iron, just being lazy. Go back with Eric.
I'm
What was I
back
gonna
now.
do? Oh, I threw my book out. Shit. That's whatever. I had a quick charge shoe book, but I just threw it out. Wait, what happened, Brooking? Wait, playing with Arctic Eric Inferno is crazy. How hard is that noob getting carried? Oh. That was Brooking, by the way.
I'm getting carried. I am.
That's the Birkin just said.
Me.
That's what
I'm
Birkin
the
just
one.
said.
Who was kill top last game? Who was kill top last game?
It was him. It was Eric. Eric had top kills last game.
Like, holy shit. Disrespecting me.
Eric's carrying me. Working. Thoughts? Oh, my leg went to sleep. Fuck. Okay. Fuck. Ow. Ow. But Bob, you have redstone?
No, and there's some over here though.
Get it.
Some gaps, Babu?
I have one gap.
Eat it, and I'll give you one.
Just eat the fucking gap, Bob. Eat the fucking gap. Now.
Sorry, I'm making Aries.
No, you let Eric out frag you? Yeah, you know, he's the owner, you know. I gotta there's a guy here. It's Jackish.
I got a health 4. Oh my god, let's go.
W. Wait, pass the redstone. Quick, right here.
I'm going for Jackish.
You have a crafting table, Bob Blue? Crafting table. Put it down.
Eat my ass, bro.
16 gold. Hell yeah, brother. I will take this.
Oh, shit, I'll just run.
Holy fuck, you scared the fuck out of me.
Run.
Man. Oh yeah, okay. I just want to get one crit on him real quick. Wait, bruv.
Oh well.
I got like 3 hits on him.
I
He's on
just scared
23. I'm tossing out.
Scared them before deathmatch.
Wait, can I make my? I'm tossing out 13 bones right there. Someone wants to make their tracker packs.
Yeah, so why would we do that in deathmatch? What's the point?
Because the fucking dogs are OP in deathmatch. What?
Sorry.
Why are you apologizing?
No, I'm
Dude,
sorry.
this fucking horn, dude, bruh.
I don't even have a bow.
This
Lucky a
is
bot.
just play passive.
Yeah.
Play passive.
With a crossbow. There's a guy right there holding healing out. His name is Balba, dude. He's not good, by the way. Because I won. My kill. Oink. Okay.
You have a bow
Got the gold. I don't know.
I can take. No.
Still have the Reaper sight, by the way. But look, see this guy here?
Yeah,
This guy's the bot. This guy's the bot right here. This guy's just running around, just like
Drop him.
zero impact.
He's low-key bringing us into a huge fight.
Oh my god, what is this fight? Just try not to get in the middle of it all.
Yep.
I just destroyed that guy.
See Eric, come right behind you.
Look. Oh, alright, yeah.
Oh
Run.
shit. I have 2 Jets, by the way, so just let me know. And I can pop them.
25.
If you can just get hits on him, and I can just Reaper sight them for his heals.
You're with me. Jet?
He's on 4. He's 14. He just healed. Careful. I'm running out.
That's on 11.
Blowing him. Eric, you're by yourself. You're good.
I'm fine.
Fuck.
I have 2 jihad's myself, so. Do you guys need help?
I'm good.
I'm coming.
Yes, I do. Holy fuck, what?
Oh.
Wait, bro, he just like 5-blocked me. What? Wait, how did he catch up to me? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He had a Reaper set as well, so he probably just stole your. Drop through diamond. You get
No,
that?
I didn't even get scythed. I just like.
That was on 18.
I wish I was recording, bro. Fuck, I dropped with a health 4 pie and a pearl and a G head, bro.
That guy's hurts.
Yeah. Look, you just keep running up. We're gonna have to let them fight the fucking other team. To your left, yeah. We're gonna have to fight this guy's. Are they still chasing you? This guy's still chasing.
Really?
Wait, what's your sword, by the way? I have a sharp 2 for you. They're coming for us.
Yeah, sharp 2. I'll take.
Here. What's your healing?
One jihad.
Fuck. Okay, I can drop you gaps. Careful. Yep.
Gaps.
Here.
Oh, nice.
You make jihad still?
No,
Okay, make another gap
I
then.
have apples.
Same. Take my gap. I'm not sure if you can make, but you can make something with that big.
Behind you.
Oh, this guy's just running around.
23. Careful.
Yep.
They're hella separated.
Don't fight. We need blue and green to fight.
Yeah, that's it. I think they're fighting right now. I'm just blowing them. Why am I getting hit? I'm letting this guy with me, by the way. We can lucky drop him.
You could drop that guy. He's not very good.
He's also on 18. Why is he?
There's a dude on 5 or something to you. Or he's on 10 now.
See it?
Yeah, that was on 5. Oh, he's
You need a
dead.
jihad? Let me
No,
know
I'm
if you
good.
need a jihad.
I'm good. I'm coming back to you.
Matthias is one. Oh, in jihad, I think. No, oh, regular head. Matthias? Oh,
Wait, stop. Yeah. Okay, well, fuck.
damn. We gotta fight this. This is our fight.
Did another head?
Oh my god! Duchess.
Yep.
On 18.
I'm
Getting
low.
cleaned?
Hold on. Oh shit.
I got fucking cleaned. We're getting cleaned. Fuck. Oh, I just did not get clean at the end there. Yeah, this dick dude just need the wrong team.
I still don't even know how I died. I swear I got pearled on or something. Cause I was like so far from the dude and I just
Unlucky!
died. Like I don't know.
Dude, I got clean by this dick dude guy for some reason. Like, not knowing that these guys are literally 2-4 Simon, bro. Jeez. Well, that's GG's. I have to go though. I have to go do shit.
Me as
So,
well.
thanks for teaming, guys.
Fun
Bubba, if you're
games.
down to play like in an hour, I'm down to play. All right.
Yeah, but
Thanks for teaming, boys.
Alright.
Appreciate y'all.
Yep,
Appreciate y'all.
peace.
Later.
Bye.
Unlucky game today, chat. Unlucky games today. Oh, dude. To be fair, I also had a big headache, chat, so I couldn't play at all. So, I low-key still have a headache, so chat. Thanks for watching the stream. Appreciate you guys watching the stream. I'm gonna go, though. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for the raids. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm back tomorrow. I'm gonna try to stream early tomorrow. All right? I am going to try my best to stream early tomorrow. So, yeah. Thanks again, chat. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Early. Not sure how early, but early. That's all I can say, just early. And yeah, I'm gonna raid someone, so stay for the raid. Who's streaming Hoplite? What? We just started stream. Chat, who's streaming Hoplite? Hoplite. Oh shit, I think Jackass is streaming Hoplite. I'm playing Fruit Wars. Fuck. I'm gonna raid someone's playing Hoplite. Oh, Lame Dave's live. Already Lame Dave. Yeah. Alright, chat. Peace out. Lame Dave is live. He's playing Hoplite. Go say hi to him. Go say what's up. He's pretty good, actually. Lame Dave's really good at PvP, so yeah. Go say what's up to him. Alright, chat. Alright, thanks for watching the stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Adios. Peace out. Thanks for the follow, Defeek and Montessier. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Alright, later, guys. Bye-bye. Adios. Wait, 10 seconds for the ad. Alright, bye now. Bye-bye.